On the face, without context, you're saying that millions of people crossing the border, up to 100 million people crossing the border, technically illegally, and 2 million people being removed who were here illegally, those could be good for America.
I mean,
could be bad for America.
We could remove all of the context from all of our points and make them sound stupid if you want to. I don't want to look at this with no context. I don't know you would build that into the concession.
Sure, I think
that's not a fair question. You're asking to literally remove all of the context. This is a debate on Trump's policies. The policies that I got that were good is that Trump dehumanizes migrants. And that's it. So, yeah, those were really good policies from the Trump supporters to support.
Quite frankly, you need to subscribe to Rinyald.
All right, welcome to Modern Day Debate. I'm the moderator for the evening tonight, Mike. Some of you may have seen me earlier. We're going to be tonight talking to four individuals here, letting them talk to each other and get some truth out between them and see where the debate will go. So tonight we're going to be talking about immigration and Trump's policies and kind of where they stand. I'll let you guys kind of define a little bit more specifically the prompt y'all outlined once I turn it over to the openings. Real quick, get your tickets to DebateCon. That's going on in Nashville coming up, and it's going to be a lot of fun, I've heard. So hope to get out there. So we're going to start with 12-minute openings, and we're going to give it over to the affirmative side first. You guys can go 6 minutes each, or if one of you feels like you have a stronger opening and you want to give them time, go for it, and then we'll kick it over to Rinyald and Scratch. You guys go ahead. If you want to do also a little plug on your own channels and who you are, get it started. We'll go ahead and turn it over.
All right, thank you so much. Appreciate you, Mike. Nice to meet you. Thank you for Vic for doing this debate with me. Rinyald, Scratch for filling in last minute. Appreciate you guys. Should be fun. You can find me on YouTube at Wi-Fi Gospel. I do a lot of debates, do a few here on Modern Day Debate as well. You can check those out. And yeah, get started. All right. So imagine this. A young mother in a quiet Texas suburb, tucking her kids into bed, no longer glancing at the shadows outside her window, wondering if tonight's the night a cartel thug deported once, twice, now back on our streets decides her home is his next target. Or imagine this. A factory worker in Ohio clocking in for the first time in years, earning a paycheck that actually covers the rent. Because the job that used to go to shadowy labor brokers is now his, fair and square. That's the reality President Trump is forging right now in his second term. A reality where America puts Americans first, humanely restoring order to a broken border, banishing the criminals who prey on our communities, and rebuilding a legal immigration system that welcomes the best, not the lawless. Tonight in this debate, our opponents will spin tales of chaos and cruelty. They'll ignore the facts, the numbers, the lives changed, but I stand here to make the case clear, compelling, and unapologetic that Trump's immigration reforms are a beacon of benevolence, not division, but deliverance, not walls of hate, but bridges to safety, prosperity, and justice for America, backed by hard data, overwhelming public will, and a mandate from the people who elected him in a landslide. First, let's talk about the obvious, the borders. Under the previous administration, our southern frontier wasn't a line on a map, it was a sieve, hemorrhaging illegal aliens along with drugs and sex slaves. Over 2.5 million encounters in fiscal year 2023 alone, leading to an all-time high of 14 million unauthorized immigrants by that year. An increase of 3.5 million unauthorized immigrants, overwhelming cities, straining schools, and turning border towns into war zones. But President Trump, he declared a national emergency on day one, suspended asylum processing, axed the failed CBP One app, and unleashed the full might of our resources. The result? A 95% plunge in illegal crossings, down to just 264 apprehensions per day by March 2025, the lowest since the 1970s. In October of this year, U.S. Customs and Border Protection recorded just 30,561 total encounters nationwide, the lowest October in CBP history, 29% below the previous record low, and 79% lower than October 2024. For the sixth straight month, Border Patrol released 0 illegal entrants, processing every apprehension strictly by law. In fact, during the first 9 months of President Trump's term, total encounters along the southwest border were lower than a single average month under Biden, marking an unprecedented turnaround in border enforcement. That's not hyperbole. That's CBP data straight from the front lines. Our agents, once outnumbered 10-1, are now guardians again, not firefighters. And this isn't about cruelty, it's compassion for the migrants themselves. No more deadly deserts, no more human traffickers preying on the vulnerable. Trump's shock and awe has saved lives on both sides of the border, deterring journeys that end in graves. Absolutely benevolent, because a secure border protects the dreamers who come legally and not the desperate funneled into danger by open invitations. But enforcement isn't just about stopping the flow, it's about removing the threats already here. Record-breaking deportations prioritize humanity by targeting the worst first. Over 2 million unauthorized individuals have left since January. 527,000 formal removals by October, plus 1.6 million self-deportations. Incentivized with cash and flights to avoid family separations. And that's DHS's own tally, shattering records from any prior administration. 70% of those formally removed, a number of about 369,000 out of 527,000, were criminals who had convictions or charges, from DUIs to drug trafficking. In the first 100 days alone, ICE arrested 752 murderers and 1,693 sexual assaulters, many who roamed free under lax prior policies. No more catch and release for predators. The Lake and Riley Act, signed January 29th with bipartisan cheers, 264 to 159 in the House, mandates detention for those charged with theft or assault, preventing tragedies like Lakin's murder by a repeat offender. We've expanded detention to 66,000 beds, up from 39,000, ensuring due process while swiftly removing dangers. This isn't vengeance, it's vigilance. It's Trump saying to American families, I've got your back.
Sorry to interrupt you. I'm going to pause the time right there. Do you want to take the whole 12 minutes? You want to let him do that, Vic, or that was his
What's
6?
Cool. I have 2 sentences.
Okay, go ahead.
And then I'll hand it over. Okay. I've got your back, says Trump. And the proof? Homicides down 17% in major cities through June 2025, per the Council on Criminal Justice, on track for the lowest murder rate since 1960. Safer streets, stronger communities, that's benevolence in action. Now I'll turn the rest of my opening over to my partner.
All right, you still have 6 minutes and 34 seconds.
All right. Well, thank you very much for getting us started, Wi-Fi. Thank you for being my partner tonight. Also, thank you to Modern Day Debates for hosting this great debate. So let's talk about the impact of Trump's immigration policies on the economy. For too long, unchecked inflows have suppressed wages and stolen opportunities from hardworking Americans. But Trump's crackdown curbing unauthorized labor and enforcing the public charge rule has flipped the script. BLS data from January to June 2025 shows 100% of net job growth. 744,000 positions went to native-born workers, the first time in over a decade. Foreign-born employment down for 543,000. As the illegal labor force shrinks, opportunities flow back to citizens. Real wages for low-skilled natives surge 5 to 8% year over year, with construction pay hitting $32 an hour, up 8% because fewer illegal workers means fairer wage negotiations for Americans. That's AEI and BLS reports, by the way. The foreign-born population itself plummeted 2.6% to 51.9 million by June, the first decline in 50 years per Pew Research. No more taxpayer burdens, welfare costs slashed, and jobs reclaimed. And for legal immigration, Trump's reforming it smartly, expanded H-2A visas for farmers, waived fees, but with wage floors to protect Americans. Tariffs and Made in America incentives have poured billions into domestic hiring without spiking inflation. This is Trump the builder, not the wrecker, lifting boats for citizens while offering a humane ladder for the world's talent. Prosperity for all who play by the rules. Finally, none of this happens without you, the American people. A mandate so thunderous it's shaking Washington to its core. Trump didn't just win, he dominated, receiving 312 electoral votes. He won the popular vote by 5 million, with immigration as voters' top issue for 32% of the electorate per CNN exit polls. Hispanics, he flipped to 46%, up from 32%, because families in border states know the stakes, and the polls, they're a roar of approval. CBS/YouGov in January, 63% of voters support mass deportations, including 47% of Democrats and 62% independents. Pew in March, 71% demand enforcement as top priority. Gallup in June, 67% approved Trump's handling of immigration, the highest for any issue. Even Axios/Ipsos in September, 81% support deporting violent criminals, 59% for all unauthorized. Bipartisan laws seal the deal. The Lake and Riley Act, the one big beautiful bill with 170 billion for walls and agents, passed 289 to 146 and 68 to 32 in terms of the votes. 28 states now mandate e-verify, and 287 partnerships, 53 agreements nationwide. Florida alone arrested 1,128 criminals this year. This isn't French, it's the people's verdict. Trump hears you, and he's delivering with 88% GOP approval for troops at the border and 86% for wrapped up removals per Pew. A mandate for mercy, humane removals that prioritize criminals, reform legal paths for the skilled, and heal a nation torn by neglect. This is Trump's benevolent blueprint: secure borders, safe streets, fair paychecks, rebuilding the American dream. And that is my opener.
Okay, guys. Well, I appreciate you guys giving that statement there, opening it up, and we're gonna go to you Scratch. We're gonna go to you Scratch and Rinyald there.
You want to go
Let's
first,
just
Scratch?
Start. Let me just
Yep.
start the timer again, and then you'll be set.
I am Scratch. I'm a leftist who does political debates on TikTok and YouTube. You can find me at Scratch 9258 on literally all platforms, minus Substack. Let's get an opening statement. Trump's immigration policy of not just targeting low-skilled illegal workers, but also targeting high-skilled legal migrants through implementing things like $100,000 fee for H-1 visas and illegally deporting legal migrants will have devastating effects on the economy. With the CBO predicting the immigration surge under Biden will contribute to a 8.9 trillion increase in GDP from 2024 to 2034. These economic benefits will not be realized if Donald Trump continues to not only bar legal immigration, but also continues to actively get rid of current immigrants in the United States.
All right. You got 11 minutes.
Yeah, I'm definitely not going to use the whole 11 minutes.
Not necessary.
Yeah, so hi, I'm Rinyald. I do debates. I talk to Trump supporters, mostly on TikTok, but I upload everything to YouTube and stuff. Trump supporters, especially on immigration, live on narrative instead of any real policy. They will use loaded terms that have no real definition, like closing the border or securing the border, but never really define what the policy looks like. They will point to things that happen and attribute it to the president. This is intentional. The policy proposed by the Trump administration is either so distasteful that no one would support it if it wasn't labeled as vacuously as closing the border, or it's so ill-defined that it may as well not exist. Would the people genuinely support the open admission by the president that he will not pursue new legislation? Would they support the robbing of people's constitutional rights? Would they support the suspension of asylum? Is all of Trump's border policy literally just funding enforcement instead of doing anything to actually reform the immigration system? It seems like probably. It seems like it's just harsh enforcement, deterrence through strength, robbing people of their rights, making it so no immigrants want to come here. It doesn't really matter what the effect is on those people or the economy more broadly. They just are interested in getting these people out.
What's going on? Okay. All right. Well, then I guess now that we are done with the opening statements, I just want to remind everyone again to get your tickets for DebateCon. That is coming up Sunday, November 15th and the 16th. Get your 2-day tickets. And we're going to kick it into now the 60-minute open dialogue back and forth. Since you guys just spoke on your side, we'll go ahead and let Wi-Fi Gospel or Vic maybe pick it up. And you guys,
You're muted.
You're
Yeah,
muted,
Wi-Fi,
Mom.
you're muted.
Wi-Fi, you're muted.
There you are.
My bad. All right. So basically, we made about 5 points. I just want to run through those points as quickly as we can and talk about them, and then it's totally fair to let you guys drill us on those or bring up the other arguments that you brought up in your opening statements. So Rinyald or Scratch, you guys can answer. Do you agree that 95% less illegal border crossings are a good thing?
When you say illegal border crossings, are you referring to border encounters?
Well, border encounters include illegal border crossings, or at least apprehensions, but it doesn't
Okay.
include.
So what does
it does
illegal
also include
border
other
crossing
things.
mean? So like, where are you getting that data specifically?
From DHS, I
Okay.
believe.
Could you send me a specific link? Because whenever and this anybody can go this look up like illegal border crossings. Whenever somebody refers to like illegal border crossings, it's almost always just encounter data. Like this was super famous. Like the sign that Trump was pointing to when he almost got unalived.
Yeah. So
The graph said illegal border countings. It was just a graph of encounters. So I have never seen any data from the DHS release that specified illegal border crossings. It's always just border encounters.
So from the I actually have from Congress.gov and track reports for fiscal years 21 through 24, distinctions between apprehensions and admissibles. Is that what you're looking for?
Inadmissibles?
I think
Yeah. So
go ahead.
well, inadmissibles would be like people requesting asylum at legal ports of entry and being denied. Neither of us would say that's like an illegal move, right? But they do count that under encounters. But even just if we look at apprehensions, there was 7.4 million apprehensions from 21 to 24. And then even if we look at the encounters, the average daily right now is 264, something like that. So if you take the average for the 7.4 million over 4 years, it's over 5,000. So that would be still a decrease in 95%.
So I want you to acknowledge two things. So number one, from December 2024 until Trump got in office, we saw border encounters decrease by those 200,000. And even prior to that, in the last couple of months of Trump's first administration, border encounters went massively up.
Well,
So,
this is
like,
about Trump's second
you're
term
trying to say
here.
it's Trump's second term, right? And you're trying to correlate border encounters with Trump's policy, but it'd be a little disingenuous if border encounters are already going down massively before Trump got into office. This is a continuing trend. This wasn't something we saw magically when Trump got into office.
So
border
it
encounters
would
are already
be
going down.
disingenuous to say that 7.4 million apprehensions down to less than 300 a day is not due to Trump's policies.
Yes, because for two reasons. So the first one is that they were already falling at the tail end of Biden's administration, right? So if you're tying it to Donald Trump's policy, we wouldn't expect it to also be dropping during Biden's presidency, the first one. The second one is that encounter numbers get hyperinflated whenever we see policies like Title 42 or Remain in Mexico, because what happens is we send people to Mexico and then they come back, they try and seek the same exact thing that they seek the first time. That's two encounters, right? So you're having like super like inflated encounter numbers just based off of the fact that we were sending people to Mexico and they were coming straight back.
Right. So what rate of recidivism are you giving then?
That'd be 20. It would be 26% according to Pew Research.
Right. Agreed. So it's still a vast number of border apprehensions, even if we take it at the 26%. So again, 2023, there were about 2.04 to 2.06 million apprehensions. The total encounters was almost 2.5 million. Then to 2024, total encounters only went down to 2.135, or total apprehensions to 1.5. How is that a major decrease?
Yeah, so two things. So number one, you would agree with me that apprehensions can include people coming here legally, or at least for some kind of asylum? Yes, you could cross the border.
No, encounters do, not apprehensions.
Well, a lot of people are apprehended and seek asylum.
Title 8 apprehensions are under border encounters.
Yes, exactly. And so are admissibles.
So if
A
you came-
apprehension, wait, an apprehension is an encounter, but an encounter is not strictly an apprehension.
I understand that. So I'm saying, right, if you came across the border to seek asylum legally, that would be counted as a border encounter. True, if
An
you were
encounter,
also
not an apprehension.
that would be counted as an encounter, right? It would also be counted, right? If you were admissible and you got, as Biden had a massive parolee program, right? If you were paroled into the country, that would also be counted as an encounter, right? So these numbers aren't just looking at illegal immigrants; these are looking at people who are coming.
No, you're
through.
confusing.
I'm not confusing.
Yeah, an apprehension
coming here for legal status.
An apprehension does not include a parole.
What is included in apprehension numbers?
It's just someone who enters illegally and is turned away.
Okay, so those would also be
that's expulsion.
I don't think that's I don't think that's apprehension numbers. But on top of that,
Title 42 expulsions with Title 8 apprehensions.
On top of that, though, I mean, like we would expect those numbers to also be going up.
Apprehension numbers.
We would also expect those to be in a feedback loop because of Title 42 and remain in Mexico, right? Because if you get apprehended and turned away,
you already said 27%. I'm willing to grant that number, but that's not that doesn't change the numbers for 95%. Even if it did, it would maybe be 90%.
You accept that, like, people coming here to seeking legal status, either through parolee system or through asylum, would also be included in encounters if they were.
He's talking about apprehensions.
Encounters.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yes.
He's talking about apprehensions, not encounters, right now.
Yeah. For example, in 2021, there was 1.734 million encounters. 70,000 of those were inadmissibles, which are asylum seekers, and then the other 1.6 million were apprehensions.
Yeah, if apprehension is someone being detained at the border, right?
Yeah, after an illegal crossing, not someone seeking asylum at a legal port of entry.
Well, you can seek defensive asylum even after being apprehended. That's something that's legal to do as well.
But if you're in the country and you seek defensive asylum, right? What happens?
You go through the asylum process.
Right, and while you go through the asylum process, you can't be deported, correct?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yes.
All right, unless like you commit some serious crime or something or some other extenuating circumstances. However, what are you going to do if you're an illegal alien and you cross into the border? Maybe you make it in there, or maybe you get paroled in. The first thing I'm going to do if I'm at risk of deportation is claim asylum, even if I have absolutely no chance of winning an asylum case, correct?
Potentially, sure. I mean, there's potential for that to happen, yeah.
Right. In fact, under Biden, I think it was an average of either less than 15 or less than 10% of asylum cases got approved. Right?
You also acknowledge, though, that it is reasonable to come to that. Like, there are people who are genuinely seeking asylum who are apprehended through that process, right? So including that in all, like, illegal crossings when there are legal immigrants within that batch is probably not right? Yeah, especially when seeking asylum is a legal process.
Even if we cut the entire number in half and give you, instead of 7.4 million apprehensions, even if we gave you 3.75, whatever the number is, it would still be down massively, something like 90%, correct?
Something like 90%. It would be down, yeah, sure. But again, I mean, like we're looking at a trend, right?
Just real quick.
No, hold on.
The people.
I want an answer to this though.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is U.S. border apprehensions, meaning and less people trying to cross illegally, is it being down 90%? Is that good or bad for America?
I don't know. It really depends on with the economic conditions of America, honestly.
Hold on. So you're saying that it could be good for millions of people to try and cross the border illegally?
It's not ideal, obviously.
It's not ideal, but I don't think it's necessarily going to incur something bad, especially if there's some kind of humanitarian crisis. Absolutely.
No. Well, if it's a humanitarian crisis, it wouldn't be an illegal crossing, would it?
Well, it would be if you get apprehended and seek asylum.
Process and somebody crosses the border illegally to then apply for asylum, that would be due to humanitarian crisis. But
James, you're not muted, by the way.
Sorry. So first of all, somebody
hold on. Are you trying
every
to say
time
something,
I try
Mike?
to go back to my
Mike, you're
Mike, you're not muted, by the way.
Yeah, affirmative asylum is something affirmative asylum is something that happens when somebody isn't in removal proceedings, right? The defensive asylum is when you're already in removal proceedings and then you seek asylum. So somebody, if you illegally enter and then you seek asylum with like the nearest border agent, that would count as an affirmative asylum case. That would also count as an apprehension because they would apprehend you, detain you while you did your asylum case, right? So that would be
and
an
why?
example. That would be example of somebody going through the legal process underlined in the INA to seek asylum legitimately, but still included in apprehensions and encounters.
Right, but why are they crossing at an illegal port of entry?
Because
Because
you're
they're
allowed to
in
do it.
fear. You're probably in fear of some kind of persecution.
And so if you're in fear of some persecution, then why do for example in fiscal year 2024, why did 635,000 people get turned away at legal ports of entry? And how many of them do you think got turned away at legal ports of entry and said, screw this, I'm getting it anyway, and went through an illegal way?
I don't know if I'd want to speculate on that.
I don't know how many of those people.
Well, you've been asking us to speculate on how many of the apprehensions are not actual apprehensions, correct?
No, we're not asking you to speculate on that. We're saying that the numbers that you're illustrating, you can't really get a grasp on what you're trying to illustrate because you cited encounters as crossings, right? But there's a lot that go into encounters and a lot that goes into apprehensions. So to say that these are equal to crossings is something that you can't necessarily do. I'm not asking you to speculate. I'm pointing out that there's a problem with the statement that you're making.
All right, but then all things considered, even if I gave you half the numbers, it would still be down 90%, which I did get a concession on. What I didn't get a concession on was that it could somehow be good for America to have illegal immigrants crossing the border. Why is that? You said like an economic benefit?
Once again, you say like you still haven't addressed a point, right? You say down 90%, and I'll just repeat what Rinyald said previously here, right? One, apprehensions and encounters still do include people who could be seeking legal forms of immigration, right, through asylum or like some kind of being like paroled into the country. And number two, right, even though it did go down 90%, nobody's denying that trend was already happening for a year in the Biden administration before Trump even came into office. Yes, it absolutely was.
So then how is the trend going down if it goes from 2.4 million encounters to 2.135 million encounters? How is that a trend going
over
down?
what span?
Between fiscal year 23 and fiscal year 24.
Yeah, you're just
is it possible?
Yeah,
is it possible that they were super high at the beginning of 23 and they plummeted at the end of 23?
So I'm talking from December, right? Anybody can go look at this, and I'm having to change my stream here. From December of 2024, right, until September of 2024, it went from 300,981 border encounters to 101,790 border encounters. I'm looking at the CBP website right now.
So it got cut in half in 3 months, the beginning of December 24, you said?
From December 2024 to September of 2024.
Okay. Was Trump announced as the winner of the presidential election by December 2024?
Was he announced as the winner in September? He said between September and December. He said between September and December.
Oh, okay. Sorry. The way he said it, he said from December to September. So I got it mixed up. So you're saying from September down to December. In September, it was 300,000. What was it in October?
No. In December of 2024, it was 300,000.
So this is what I don't understand.
What?
In December, it was 300,000, you said, right?
Yes.
And then what did it go down to and when?
By September
of what?
2025? 2024.
How do you?
Are you saying December 23? Wait, hold on. Are you saying December 23 to September 24?
No, December 24.
Okay, so you're talking about September 24 to December 24. You swapped the months. Yeah, you swapped the months. Sorry. Okay.
So what was the number in September of 24?
100,000.
So it went up then. Everybody was trying to get in before the big bad orange man got in. That's what happened.
So
maybe I could share my screen. I'm not like October, November, December, January, February, March, April to September 24. I'm not going insane. Like I'm looking at it. It goes down by 200,000.
Read that. What are you reading off of?
here. Can I send you this on Discord? I'm looking at the CBP website.
Well, don't send it to me. I think there's a side chat here. If I think we could use that.
I do believe there's a side chat.
Okay.
Yeah, use the Zoom side chat. I'll pull it up.
So just out of curiosity, like what do we think we're attributing to, like, what do you think Donald Trump did in order to, because your claim is that as soon as Donald Trump came in, encounters dropped 90%. What do you think that he did to actually, what do you think he actually did to achieve that?
I mean, he did a ton of things, but just the literal speech that Trump ran on, just the campaign that Trump ran on, is enough to scare everybody into not coming, obviously, because they started dropping going into his, by the time he was announced to going into his term, it started dropping tremendously already. He basically increased border security, right? Like you, in your opening statement, you said the only thing Trump did was fund enforcement, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he's funding enforcement.
Mm-hmm.
He signed things like the Lake and Riley Act. That means if you actually apprehend somebody, you have to detain them, correct?
Sure, but I mean, that's not going to stop, like, any of that has nothing to do with the border, right?
Right, but if they commit a crime at the border, such as entering, right? If somebody commits a crime,
you can't indefinitely detain somebody under the Lake and Riley Act for entering illegally. I'm pretty sure it's for things like theft, assault, like things like that, right?
Yeah. So if you assault a CBP officer, is what I was saying.
Sure, but I mean, like, then we're not talking about crossings. We're talking about assaulting CBP officers. So, like, the Lake and Riley Act. Sure, but like the Lake and Riley Act isn't going to deter something that's not already illegal, right? It's already illegal to assault CBP officers on your way over to the border. That's already illegal, right? You could already, you're already turned away if you do that, right? So the Lake and Riley Act isn't adding anything new there other than like indefinite detention.
Yeah,
I understand that. Now if
well, hold on. Do you think that, like, with Trump, with his the fact that he overwhelmingly won, and the messaging is, hey, we're not going to tolerate all this illegal immigration anymore, don't you think that's enough to send a message across the world that, hey, look, maybe you should slow down a bit, like, we're not going to tolerate this stuff anymore, knowing that he's going to be more harsher?
One, yes, potentially, but I don't want that, right? Like, I don't want our means of deterring immigrants from coming across the border being that we're going to treat you so poorly that you won't want to come to the United States. That's not something that I want the United States to do. And second of all, that's not policy, right? Like, him giving a speech about how poorly we're going to treat illegal immigrants isn't policy. That's not passing anything. That's not fixing anything. It's just making people scared.
Well, if it's a deterrent is a deterrent, you know? I mean, a deterrent.
Sure, but I mean, the debate is on policy.
We would have to then concede, right? If we're saying that it's Trump's messaging which is causing people not to come here, it's also Trump's messaging which encouraged people to come here in the first place, right? This is the person who lied about, like, FEMA money going to immigrants when it was really just from an SSP fund that was actually funded by the CBP. This is the person who was demonizing immigrants in, like, Springfield, Ohio agent. This is the person who had a different number of illegal immigrants coming across the border every 2 days and was constantly saying the border's wide open, anybody can come across, right? If we're saying, oh, Trump's messaging is encouraging people not to come here, we'd have to say previous his campaign, it was his messaging that was encouraging people to come here.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying that, like, I think, like, you know, especially after the whole Biden letting in, what was the number, like 14 million? There's not even an official, like, number. There's 10 million, it could be 14 million, but millions have let in. You don't think that maybe Donald Trump saying, hey, we're going to be even harsher than even his previous term? I mean, you guys are spurting out after about what's going on right now. I mean, you don't think even the imagery that they're showing, the prisoners that are in El Salvador, the prison in El Salvador and such, you don't think all that messaging out there is not a deterrent in itself that, yeah, listen, we're not effing around this time?
Sure, but I mean, again, here's the problem, right? Is that we already litigated the encounter numbers. So, like, I'm going to reject the 13 million, 10 million, 50 million, you know, whatever day it is.
Wait.
But
That's how many illegal immigrants are in the country. 14 million.
14, I don't know where.
So the 14 million
that's from Pew Research
So
Center.
the 14 million statistic is unauthorized immigrants. If you look at that, that includes people here on TPS, that includes people here on who are asylum. So that would include people of legal statuses. So that's not actually illegal immigrants.
Unauthorized is a better word. You're right.
On top of that, like, again, it goes back to the thing of, like, if we're arguing that Donald Trump's, like, master border policy is showing people getting ushered off to a torture prison to prevent people from coming here, I don't think that's a good way to do it, right? Like, I don't think that's good border policy.
who's going to a torture prison?
We're sending people to CCOT, right? Like that's kind of
Okay, and
that's the whole
they
point.
torture people there?
Yes.
Okay, what do they do that's torture there?
We have State Department reports talking about how like they would zap the wet floors to shock everybody within the cell. We got like credible reports from multiple people that we sent there saying that, you know, they were being beaten if they weren't getting dressed quick enough. Like we have 2 separate State Department reports talking about the like detailing the conditions of El Salvadorian prisons. Like it wasn't a mystery how bad these places are.
So normal behavior for third world country prisons, correct?
Sure, we shouldn't be sending people there though, right? Like it doesn't matter. Like it's
we're
still we're still torturing them.
Yeah, who are we
I
sending?
don't know what the I don't know what the standard is.
Well, you're saying that this was
there?
You're saying that this was the thing that was deterring people from coming, is us showing them like frog walking people through this prison. I don't think that's a good thing. I don't think that's what the U.S. should be engaged with.
Okay, so then we also shouldn't publicize how prisoners live inside of prisons in America to deter criminals either, correct?
If we're torturing them, no, right? But also keep in mind that a civil person like crossing the border is different than like the kind of criminals that you would be talking about sending to U.S. prison.
Yeah, and the civil person crossing the border isn't getting sent to CCOT. Do you know how many people were sent to CCOT?
It was about 200, 300. The problem is that their due process rights were robbed of them, so we didn't actually get the chance to see if they were who they said they were.
From who? You're talking about
from the people that Kilmar Abrego Garcia and the Alien Enemies class.
Okay, so if you're gonna sit here and defend Kilmar Garcia and say that we didn't know who he was and that his due process was violated, that's wrong. Now,
when I said that, I was talking about the Alien Enemies, right? I wasn't talking about Garcia there, but I mean Garcia also got his due process rights robbed of him, so that's also, you know, part of the people who we robbed of their process.
There should be people like Andy Hernandez, right? Who was a gay makeup artist in Venezuela, who was actively getting persecuted for being gay, sought asylum in the U.S., was in detention his entire stay while he was seeking asylum, and the Trump administration deported him without any ability to, 1, seek habeas corpus, or 2, any kind of like notice deportation if in like any timely manner. Their due process rights were stripped from them.
No, and we can there's very, very few cases of these in every single administration over the last 5 administrations, right? Biden, Obama, Bush, Clinton, all had these issues. These are not unique to Trump's administration. However,
sorry, go ahead.
Well, I want to get back to my 5 points, because I did say we have 5 points. I want to get through them quickly. I want to just make our argument, and you guys can pull up any other arguments you guys want. It doesn't look like we're going to get somewhere on this first point. But I do just want to say one more thing, because you bring up that your reasoning that some illegal immigrants coming over the border in mass numbers could be good for America is economic reasons. Can you explain?
Yeah, absolutely. So before I explain, the numbers I was looking at earlier for CP, they go by fiscal year, and the fiscal year for them starts in October. So when I said December of 2024, that was really December of 2023, and then it turned into January. So it would be December 2023 to September of 2024 when we saw a 200,000 decrease under Biden.
All right. Well, I want to let you answer my question, but I don't want to let that go.
Okay. I just want to be want to be clear, so that affirms my prior point.
No, I'm glad you brought that back up. But it's also from fiscal year 23 to fiscal year 24, 2.4 million to 2.135 million encounters. Apprehensions went from 2 million to 1.5. That's not a drastic decrease. But back to my question. How could economics make up for illegal immigrants crossing the border en masse?
Yeah, absolutely. I guess if we just want to like take a look at research by like the Cato Institute that looks at like the economic impact of illegal migrants, or we can look at like studies by the National Bureau of Economic Research, which predict illegal immigrants provide about like 1% of our total like private sector GDP. 2, these immigrants don't actually seem to be lowering wages, right? When immigrants come into the country, they also induce a demand in the economy, which the supply needs to meet, right? That part of that supply is increasing employment. So we don't see them typically lower wages, but in fact, the new jobs that are oftentimes created because of that demand that immigrants incur in the economy tend to be these tend to be like managerial or like supervisor positions, which the better English speaking and usually slightly higher educated Americans tend to take up. So for about
right, so
95 to 80% of the country, we might even see slight wage increases because of like illegal immigration. But once again, I just contest the fact
Well-
the majority of people coming to Biden or people here on some kind of legal status, and the numbers to support that are extremely flawed.
no, that's not true. But again, to answer my question, you said GDP increase was one of
Yeah.
the factors that. Okay, so if the GDP is increased, or if doing something that would decrease the GDP, you could do something then in order to avoid those consequences. You could do something that would normally be looked at as criminal or against the law. Correct? That's your argument.
That no, I would say we probably shouldn't like have people just like illegally coming in here. But what I would say is that
So then, why would you use that as a
Huh?
point?
Yeah, yeah.
what I would say is that people who have come in here, who are currently here, who are like illegal immigrants, right? Those people who have been here for 10 or 5 years plus, who are actually integrated into the economy, those are the people making up the private sector GDP, right?
Okay.
People who have just
But-
newly or recently like crossed the border, I don't know like how good those people are going to be
Okay.
when it comes to adding on to sector GDP. Now, the people who, once again, because my entire argument, most of those people came into Biden, they came under some kind of legal status. Those people like can pay taxes. Those people can get those their work permits. They're going to integrate into the economy way quicker. But if somebody's just going to
Well-
illegally cross right now, I'm fine deporting them.
Okay, so then it's not a bad thing for illegal crossings to be down.
Yes,
no,
but I'm
it's
contesting.
not necessarily a bad thing. I don't think anybody would have said
Okay.
that it's necessarily a bad thing.
So it's a good thing for America then.
I don't know if it depends, right? It depends on how you're
Do
getting the
you-
crossings down.
No, it doesn't.
Absolutely.
No?
That's completely separate. The
If
fact
people-
that people are not crossing into the country illegally, is that a good or a bad thing for America?
Okay.
You don't think
wait.
it depends on how that happens, on whether or not it's good or bad?
You can add intention to it. I'm just simply asking.
Well,
people
the
are-
intention
are-
is the whole point. I don't think
Alright,
it's
alright,
necessarily a
alright,
good or
so-
bad thing.
Like if people hypothetically, if people are
You're
illegally,
saying-
if people are illegally crossing the border because there's a giant humanitarian crisis and they're trying to seek asylum,
That's
and the
not
ports of
illegally
entries
crossing.
and the ports of entries were, yes, you could illegally cross, and the ports of entries were clogged up, so they're illegally crossing the border to seek asylum. And we were just okay, we're just gonna like shoot all these immigrants who try and cross the border. We'd probably say that that's a bad way to try and stop illegal border crossings.
Okay. All right. So then if 100 million illegal immigrants crossed because they were being persecuted, that would be good for America?
Did they have a reasonable claim for persecution? Like, are
Yes.
we?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Okay. So flooding the country with 100 million people who are not integrated in society at all is going to
Well,
be good for
hold on.
America. You don't think
You're-
that's going to
you're-
put a
you're-
strain?
You're kind of loading that, right? Because you said, okay, you added that they're not integrating into the country. I'm going to
They're
obviously
not-
push
they're
against
not
that.
already integrated.
Yeah, they
As
don't
is the
integrate.
same
They
for
don't-
every other
they don't come in here
immigrant.
Right. So do you understand what 100 million people would do to this
Let
country if they
everybody
entered?
know we are halfway through right now. 30 minutes
All right,
left
so-
on the open dialogue.
Okay.
Carry on.
I didn't know. All right. Well, look, we're not going to get anywhere on this first point. Mass deportations. Can it be considered successful or good that approximately 1.6 million self-departures and 500,000 formal removals occurred under Donald Trump's immigration enforcement policy?
Again, it's going to depend, right? Like, I'm not interested in just looking at metrics that happen and then removing all of the context that led to those metrics happening, right? Like, I don't think it's
Alright.
necessarily a good thing that these removals happened. I want to know how these removals are happening. I want to know the effect of these removals. I want to know like different claims of whatever's happening during these removals, right? The removal numbers
Okay.
aren't necessarily good or bad.
We can get into that. I just want a concession then. On the face,
That's not a
Uh,
concession, right?
hold on,
I'm
I'm
not.
asking for a concession.
He's
I
asking.
know.
I didn't say you did concede. I'm asking for one now. On the face, without context, you're saying that millions of people crossing the border, up to 100 million people crossing the border, technically illegally, and 2 million people being removed who were here illegally, those could be good for America.
I
Or,
mean,
sorry,
we can
could be bad for America.
we could remove all of the context from all of our points and make them sound stupid if you want to. I don't want to look at this with no context. I don't
Okay,
know how you
alright,
would
so
build
you're
that
not gonna
into
answer
the
the question.
concession.
Sure, I think
That's
yeah.
not a
Not
that's
gonna
not a
answer the
fair
question.
question. You're
Here-
asking to literally remove all of the context.
Yeah, I literally like I even said
I don't
like,
understand any context where 100 million people enter America and good things happen. There is zero context in which good things happen because of that. I'm telling you that right now.
What if there was like a
Very
million,
simply, look
100
at our
million people
healthcare system.
born? What if there was like 100 million people born? Do you think if our population rose by 100 million because they were born, do you think that would necessarily be a bad thing?
How would 100 million people be born?
They would be.
How would that?
They would
what
give
would
birth.
be required? Wait, who would give birth?
Their mothers, right? Like I'm just saying, like
American citizens, right?
sure. Does that?
Okay.
You're saying that you can't conceive of a world where adding 100 million
Yeah.
people would be good.
No, I actually don't think. I think that would be way too quick of a growth inside of America.
Okay, so what? Then the question is, what would you want to do about it, right? And it's the same question. What would you want to do about it?
Yeah, not let 100 million people in.
Yeah.
That's what I would want to do about it.
yeah,
At
about
any- at any
like
means?
just during the baby boom, just for instance, like 70 to 76 million people were born. So are we against
Yeah,
the
and
baby
how
boom?
many years?
1946 to 1964.
Okay, so 20 years. Yeah, I'm talking about 100 million people entering the country.
Did 100 million
within
people
a-
enter the
People
country?
enter the country in 1 year?
Well, that was literally the hypothetical I gave you.
Yeah, so the hypothetical doesn't, like, the conditions that you're using for this hypothetical don't exist right now. I'm granting that in this
That's why it's
hypothetical
called a
situation.
hypothetical.
Yes, I know, I understand. That's why I'm granting it this hypothetical that I would not refuse these people service, because I don't think that sending people back to a place in which they're being persecuted is something humane. Now, if you want to say
Okay,
that
how
you
about
would
a
send them all
billion?
back, you would send them all back. That's fine. You could make that
Yes.
argument. Okay,
Yes,
like,
but how about a billion?
okay, would you send, let's say, like a couple 100,000?
No,
Would you
answer
send
the
them all
question.
back?
How about a billion?
A billion?
No,
Yeah.
I wouldn't accept a billion.
No.
Why not?
Unless
Because
we
there's
had,
no
like,
feasible
super
way
good-
to do
unless,
it.
Unless
Oh,
there
so
was
there's
like, unless we
feasible
had like
way to do
unless we
100
had like
million?
yeah
Probably,
we
yeah.
could- absolutely. I think we could absolutely have like the processing
Okay.
facilities and infrastructure pre-built to house these people.
Let's-
Absolutely.
Now, I don't
Let's
know
talk
what
about the context.
I don't know what you were trying
Let's-
to prove with that hypothetical,
Let's
right?
talk. Let's talk. I was trying to prove that you weren't being logically consistent, because when I went to a billion, you immediately said no. I don't think
How
you're
is
in your
that
right
not-
mind to think you can. Because to have
How is that
100 million
logically
people enter
inconsistent?
this
What?
country and think good things would happen is absolutely asinine.
This is like asking.
Anyway.
This is like if I own a house. and
Let's
you
talk
asked
about
me,
the
"Could
1.6
would you let
million
20 people into your
self-departures.
house to help them?" I said yes, and you said, "Okay, would you let like a million people into your house to help them?" I said no, and then you said, well, "You're being inconsistent."
What's
well,
the
obviously,
difference between 20 and a million? Is it more
well,
than
in one,
100 million
I have
and 1
to.
billion?
I would say in 20, I could actually help those people. In a million, it would just become a situation that was worse for the living standard of all those people in the house.
All right, cool.
So
So
Anyway, back to this.
just out of
1.6
curiosity.
million
This is such a bad like line of questioning.
1.6 million
Well,
self-departures.
well, before we
know
move
how
on,
those happened, right?
Before we move on, let's talk about, okay, so within this hypothetical, right? Or let's move away from the hypothetical. Within this reality, right? We have like what, 100,000 per year? Is that where we're at, right? How many claims of asylum were there last year?
Claims of asylum or granted?
Claims of asylum, because Donald Trump tried to suspend
In-
asylum, right?
And are you talking about the last year, like last 9 months of Trump?
No, we're just talking about like last fiscal year, 2024.
2024, I think there was 600,000. The number I have, 600,000, is people turned away at the border, I think.
Okay, so let's just say it was
That's legal port of
600,000.
entry.
Do you think that
Okay.
that's going to strain the country so bad that we have to send them all back to the place that they're fleeing persecution from?
I think that currently in our current state, where we have up to 14 million unauthorized immigrants here, it very well could.
I'm not asking if
Yeah.
it could. I'm asking, does it?
Yeah.
Do you believe that? Do you believe?
600,000 a year. Could we actually take in an extra 600,000? Yes. Do I think it's smart? No.
Do you think that we should send them back to the place that they're fleeing persecution from because it would hurt the country so bad?
Absolutely.
Okay, what's
Yes,
the argument for
unless-
that?
What? I don't want them here.
Are you
That's
just, like,
it? You
against-
just don't want them there, so you want to send them back to the place that
Yeah.
they're fleeing persecution from?
Yes.
Are
Absolutely.
you against the concept
Okay.
of asylum?
No, not at all. But I think we need to deal with
sounds
the
like you
problem
are.
that we have
It
before
sounds like
going
you are,
back
because
to
that's
asylum.
the policy you're advocating for isn't just like
No, I think
explicit-
asylum's fine
the
in
policy
a
you're
limited manner.
the policy you're advocating for is explicitly against international law. So if
No, the policy I'm advocating for is there have been millions of people who have completely abused the asylum system,
Mhm.
as Rinyald has admitted previously on streams.
Mhm.
And I think we need to deal with that problem before just allowing more in.
So in order to do that, you would send them all back to the place that they're fleeing from on the grounds of persecution, right?
I would start with the people in our country, and for the time being, yes, do not enter the country. Now, Trump's actually allowing pretty much not as far as like people in, but anybody with a legitimate application. I think he's granted about half the amount Biden did in 23.
Yes, the reason that is
Or
because he
24.
tried to sign an order suspending all physical entry into the southern border, and it got blocked because it's illegal, right? So the kind of thing that you're talking about, he tried to do, and it got blocked due to illegality. So he like doesn't even have the power to do that unless he does it through Congress, which he can't do, right? And there's no popular
yet-
support to suspend asylum, right?
I think it's
And
good to
yet
po-
somehow he still was able to drastically limit how many people are even coming to legal ports of entry to seek asylum. How could he do that, do you think?
Because they don't want to be here. Because they've seen that Donald
So it
Trump is
must
willing to
be
treat
better.
people
It could
incredibly
it could be
inhumanely.
the 100
No, not
it
not
could be the
better.
$100
So
fee
what's
to apply
worse?
for
They
asylum, I
they
don't
saw
know.
that Donald Trump is is more likely to treat people inhumanely, and they don't want to come here. But I don't want to make America so bad
So
that
you-
nobody
so
wants to
it's a
come here.
deterrent then.
Yeah,
It could be
I don't.
the-
Want,
and
I don't
his
think.
rhetoric
is a
I don't-
deterrent then.
I don't think deterrents are necessarily good. Like if
Well,
Donald
hold
Trump
on.
was
Whoa.
saying,
I thought
"Hey,
they were
every
being
illegal
first,
immigrant."
Let me go ahead and stop everybody. Give Scratch a chance. I can see he's trying to get in there.
Yeah, I think if we're going to point at anything, it's probably the $100 fee you have to pay to apply for asylum is probably deterring people the most, right? A lot of these
True.
people are extremely poor, they don't have much money, and they spent it getting down to the border so they could apply for asylum. I don't know if it's Donald Trump's big scary rhetoric that's doing them, but probably just the financial barriers that the Trump administration is explicitly setting up for these people, right? And as somebody who actually cares about like humanity, people's humanity, right? I don't want a mother, maybe her crying children
Don't-
who are being persecuted
Don't
by the.
clutch your
Oh,
pearls.
wait,
all
let me
right?
let me do some crow clutching right in front of you, okay?
Well, you were
Yeah.
talking
You're doing a
about
little-
like
you were doing-
saving people from the
really, you were
desert,
talking-
right? So
look, this. By the way, these are the same people who are literally crow clutching, crying at the very start of their thing about, oh my gosh, we don't have to look at our windows and be careful at night for this poor mother in the suburbs. Okay,
And
so I
these
just
are the same people who are okay with mothers murdering their own children. Are we gonna start slinging mud or
Yeah, I
what's going on here?
famously
You gonna
love
make an
that.
argument?
If I would like to make a point. You painted this picture like, oh, they can't even afford the $100 for asylum. Meanwhile,
500.
aren't they paying like thousands? Okay, 500. Aren't they paying thousands of dollars to cartels to help smuggle them in?
Yeah, that's my point.
w-
They spend their money
Wait,
getting
what's your
down
point?
here. They spend their money getting down here, and then they don't have the necessary money to apply for asylum.
And
Well,
they
no,
also
the cartels are
fleeing
smuggling them in.
persecution.
you spend money, you can't spend that money somewhere else. It's already spent.
And they're also fleeing persecution, but Donald Trump's way too harsh. They'd rather go back to the persecution than deal with Donald Trump. That's what
Wait,
you're
yeah,
saying.
then be indefinitely suspended in like in ICE detention facilities that they're preventing oversight into. Yeah, I don't know
So
if
it
I'd ever
must
want to
not
stay there.
It must not be as bad then in their own country.
Or
right? So they
maybe
can stay there.
maybe the U.S. should just stop treating people so inhumanely.
Yeah,
Maybe.
so what?
Not letting people in is not inhumane. If
No.
I go, hey, Rinyald, can I go to your house? And you're like, no. I'm like, oh, you're treating me inhumanely.
Okay,
It
so
is-
Vic, if you came to my house, wait, hold on. If you came to my house and then I stored you in a shed for months until you could come in, and then the police came to ask, like, hey, what's in your shed? And I say no. Like, do you think I would be in the right to do that?
So in a
Who-
shed, you're
Yeah.
comparing like a cell. or
Which
something, a
people
shed?
who are yeah.
You're comparing the
that's
country to
so
a
what I'm
household,
saying.
bro,
Yeah,
okay?
what I'm saying is that when we're putting people in ICE detention facilities and then preventing congressional oversight, right? That's probably not good, right? It's not as simple as like we're just turning people away.
Yeah, no, sorry, I didn't hear that. I got distracted by the little bro comment. Could you say that one more time?
I said it's not like we're just turning them away. We're putting them in ICE detention facilities and then preventing congressional oversight.
Yeah, and
Well, not
and
that.
you're saying it's not as bad in their own country. That's actually worse than what's going on in their own country, right?
It depends on the certain asylee.
If people
Well,
are co-
they
if
all
people are
think
coming
it
here,
is 'cause
if
they're not
people are
coming.
coming- if
Well,
people are
again, this
coming-
isn't the only thing that's deterring them. There's a $500 new fee through the One Big Beautiful Bill that makes
Yeah.
it so if you want to
Okay.
seek asylum,
So
which is
it's not
detrimental
worth-
to the entire
peop-
point.
if
No,
people are
you
coming-
can't spend $500 you don't have.
Yeah.
Okay.
If people are coming here with the intent to seek asylum and they don't have the financial ability to seek asylum, they're just gonna go back. They're not gonna stay here.
Yeah, and how has this not been true otherwise?
What do you mean?
What has it always been a problem where people are poor and they can't afford to seek asylum?
This is a new provision.
No.
This is a new provision.
Okay.
The $500
Yes,
fee just came under
before this
Trump.
Before this provision, has it been the case that people have been too poor and can't seek asylum?
No, because there's not a monetary fee. There's not a monetary.
Okay, so there's nobody in the world who wants to seek asylum who's too poor to get to America.
There's probably
There's
some
nothing
people,
we
yeah.
can do about that.
Oh, exactly. Thank you.
Okay, there is something we could do about putting a financial barrier in order for people who are at ports of entry to seek asylum. There is something we can do about that.
Yeah, or we could actually try to deter people from putting in applications when they have no chance of getting asylum, like has been seen even under Biden. They approved maybe 10% of the asylum seekers.
So wait.
So they already have incentive not to do it if they're rejecting the.
Wait, just a minute. How do you determine if someone has a valid asylum claim or not?
Well, there's requirements that are listed, right? And then those requirements, people look at those requirements and they have to determine if they have a leg to stand on. Now, there's obviously tons of people who have no leg to stand on. Otherwise, they would be seeking asylum now.
Okay, so what do you have to do to even know? Like, I'm an illegal immigrant, or not even legal. I'm just an immigrant coming to the border. I seek asylum. What does the government have to do to determine if I have a valid claim to
First,
asylum?
you have to determine if you have a valid.
Okay, but I seek asylum. Okay, what does the government have to do?
Yes, the government. I don't know exactly the process, but they would obviously have to validate your claim of asylum.
Yeah, so there's like two steps, major steps. There's your initial application, there's a credible fear test, and then there's going to be like your actual like court date, right? So through all three, so these are just like the initial these initial screening steps. But understand, for any of this to happen in the first place, you have to seek asylum, and some amount of processing has to happen. Right? The claim that you made was, oh, these people who don't have valid asylum cases anyways. Well, the way you determine that is by letting them seek asylum.
Yeah, and so when someone comes to seek asylum at a legal port of entry and they're turned away, why are they turned away?
Probably because they didn't pass.
They didn't pass the credible fear interview.
Yeah.
Thank you. And so when someone comes into the country illegally and claims asylum, they bypass that and they get a court date, correct?
No, the credible fear interview still happens just in detention facilities. And if you don't pass that, then you can get like two more times to appeal that and try again. And if you don't pass it those other 2 times, then you just get deported.
Okay, so you do stay longer
in a detention facility.
Like a work permit or anything. You're going to be in a detention facility.
And you're still incentivized, if you want to be in America, especially if you're fleeing persecution, right? You're still incentivized to enter illegally and claim asylum.
These asylum seekers don't want to.
I get to have a nice cushy stay in Alcatraz for 4 days.
Wait,
while I get to apply for credible fear.
Is that better or worse than being in your country because
Probably
of persecution?
Worse.
Then go back to your country.
A lot of these people are coming over to support a family. If they're not working, then they're not going to be supporting their family.
If they're coming over just to support a family, they're not fleeing persecution.
You can do both. Those two things aren't mutually exclusive.
Okay. So just because you want to come over and support your family doesn't mean you get to come here. You've been talking about asylum.
Your original no. Okay, you're going right, because your original point here was that these people are somehow incentivized, but I don't think anybody is incentivized to come over here if they know they have a invalid asylum claim. The only thing that's going to happen is they're going to rot in detention for like a couple of days.
Well, yes, now they are. Not under Biden, they weren't.
Really?
Yes, under Biden.
By the way, I have.
That's absolutely not true.
I have sorry. There's a good article, and I can't believe you're using this. There's a good article by CBS.
That's not true.
Wait, give me a sec. There's a good article. There's a good article by CBS, which was reporters who went down to the border and they like documented the journey of asylum seekers. And the process I just laid out is exactly what's happening under the Biden administration.
Yes, but you're still incentivized to get into the country illegally because the arrests were not made as frequently as they are now.
What does that even mean?
You had a way higher chance of living a life undetected and unbothered illegally in America under Biden than you do Trump. Yes or no?
Illegal?
An illegal life in America
unbothered.
Yeah, sure, but that's not asylum though.
Yeah. Okay.
That's not asylum.
All right, so you're still all right. So if you go to a legal port of entry and you get denied asylum, you're still incentivized to cross illegally because there's much better protections for you inside of America. Right?
Much better. I get maybe like potentially.
All right, yes, tons of people were doing this under Biden. They're not doing it under
I don't
Trump.
think tons of people were doing this under Biden, though, right? You pointed to encounter numbers, right? And we saw the encounter numbers go down massively throughout.
No, we didn't.
Yes. So wait, I literally went to fiscal year. I said I mixed up in the fiscal year.
You took a screenshot of several months inside of two fiscal years.
I didn't take a screenshot. I posted the actual link in side chat.
I didn't mean you actually took a screenshot. I meant a screenshot of several months.
Like, yeah,
you
that's
took
how you demonstrate a trend.
The year.
No,
the
you compare fiscal
before
years.
Trump got the fiscal year.
Why would you compare fiscal years?
Because all you're saying is if it was on a downtrend, then it spiked massively at the end of it.
Yeah, we can expect.
No, it was on a no, it didn't spike.
So it wasn't on a downtrend.
That's not true. It didn't spike massively at the end of it. It was on a downtrend from December 2023 up into Trump's administration, second administration.
No, it wasn't, because in 2023,
do I have to
if there was a downtrend, then how come 2.2 million encounters still happened? How does that happen on a downtrend?
Am I allowed to share my screen? Can I pull this here? Okay, actually, I can. This is the best I can do. This is for the entire. This is for chat. This is for everybody. Oh gosh. Google, please don't do this. Okay, I don't know if you guys. Yep, it's gonna be bright white. Yeah, can't see that shit. Can you click on a link in the side chat?
I just did.
Okay, do you see? Can you click on 2024?
What are you trying to show?
Again. All right, Southwest land border encounters, right?
I don't know. Yeah, there.
Where does it say? What am I looking for?
So the camera isn't flipped.
Okay.
But that's the trend is going downwards, right? And then this line below, which is you see the low.
Yeah, which
Trump.
line? Which year?
So this is the one that's highlighted currently that you're looking at. Everybody in screen chat. That's 2020.
So the orange.
The orange one. Yep, the prominent orange one.
Okay.
That's fiscal year 2024, right? And you see the giant decrease, 200,000. And let me get up. So this is 2025, and this is the continuing trend, right? It was going down the entire fiscal year previous to this.
So there was a spike in December of 24.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then it went down
300,000
all throughout that year,
November
and then
of
into
23.
Trump's administration.
Okay, so December of 2023, fiscal year 2024, there was 300,000. And then, yes, so there was up until September. What about October? Why are we missing October and November?
Well, it
Because it's
flattened
the
out
next fiscal year.
for a couple months.
Yeah.
It flattened
And then,
out for.
and then look at the drop. Look at the drop from December to February.
Yeah, it flattened out a couple months.
Is that continuing trend or is that a new trend?
No, that's a continuing trend. It flattened out.
How?
Yes.
It flattened out, right?
So
wait,
give me a sec.
That's a trend.
Give me a sec. First of all, no,
Scratch,
it went down from
October
to November. It went down. It went down.
Scratch. If you have that on your computer, you could share your screen instead of trying to hold your tablet up.
Okay.
And then I can just make that one bigger.
Yeah. See, from October here to November, it went down.
One second.
You know what the best part of this is? You compare it from December to February. Guess how much it drops by?
From October to November, it went down slightly here, and then there was this initial dip. But it also leveled. But it also.
So 90%.
It did the same thing in 2024.
Yes. See, there are multiple periods of it leveling out and then dropping. Right. This happened all throughout this trend of going down.
And then look, when it spikes, are we seeing that same spike now?
No, we're not seeing that same spike now.
Hey, we're not, right?
We weren't seeing the same spike throughout.
Yes, we were. Look
either.
at. Yeah, June 22, June 23, June 24. Okay, so besides 24. June 23.
I'm talking about
June 22. We see the spikes.
Let's limit. I'm talking from December of 2024, right? Right up until Biden got fiscal year 2024. Right until Biden got into office, we did not see these major spikes. We saw it.
Yes.
We saw it drop majorly.
Yes, there was
go
a
down,
downtrend.
level off, downtrend, and then it went down more into Trump. This was a continuing trend.
It's not a significant
trend.
No, it's not a continuing downwards trend. It was a downward trend, and then it continued flat, and then it was a new downwards trend. Do you know how trends work?
This is what it. Yes,
Yeah,
the
trends
same
are in
trend over a
groups,
fiscal
not
year. It was
yeah.
a
You
downwards
don't
trend over
count.
the fiscal year.
Okay, so then how would you have a flat trend? Do the numbers have to stay exactly the same to have a flat trend, or can you have a flat trend where the numbers slightly decrease month to month?
Sorry, your mic is going really bad right there. What?
Can you have a flat trend, whatever you want to call it, where months are either going up slightly month by month or down slightly month by
Yes,
month?
you can have a trend which it's going up slightly or down slightly.
Yes, and would that be an uptrend or a downtrend, or would it be a flat trend?
It would depend on what the overall trend is. If you,
Right.
for
So
instance,
if
if
you
it
have
spiked
several
here,
months,
if it spiked here, and then it continued to go down, the trend for fiscal year 2024 would be downwards. And it
there were
did. It went up
several
slightly.
months. There were several months in which it was flat. And you're out of your mind if you think it would have stayed that way if Biden remained in office, or if Kamala.
There weren't. It wasn't several months. It went up slightly. It went down for literally what 1, 2, 3, and then Biden and then Trump came to office. See, it went from 100.
We have
It went from 170,
dude,
107, 473, 3,000 border encounters to 101, 790,000 border encounters, and we'll click
No.
on to 2025
yeah.
to one. Sorry, to this would be the last fiscal year. So 94,000, 183,000, and then to 96,033.
Yeah, so for 5 months, it was a slight decrease. It was a flat trend, but several months.
The overall trend before Trump came into office is downwards, though.
Okay.
But look at that sharp
And then what
dip,
happened?
though.
Yes, it started a new downward
Look at the
trend.
sharp.
If you
Look at the
think
sharp dip in
that
24.
if Kamala was in
Look-
office,
Look at the sharp dip.
if you
Let's
went,
ignore-
if
let's
you
ignore
think
all
that
the-
Kamala going into
let's
office
ignore
would have
all
made
this.
that
All
trend
right,
go
all right,
down,
all right.
you are
Hold on.
insane.
Hold on, let him get his point out.
Berg.
Yeah, I'm just saying, if you think that if Biden remained in office or if Kamala won, that trend would have continued downwards like it is with Trump, you're out of your mind.
Why did it go downward
And
in
if-
2024?
Yeah.
There could be several reasons.
There could be several reasons that this one went down too.
Yes.
Let's be real.
Well, look, I'm just saying,
Oh,
you're
okay.
literally making the point that Trump is doing things like adding this $500 fee to asylum seekers and all of these things that are bad, but
Yeah.
they are causing the crossings to go down or the encounters to go way down, right? But you're saying they're
Sure.
bad. If he didn't do these bad things, would the crossings go down?
I don't think doing bad things in order to get the crossings down is a
Hold
good
on,
thing.
that's not my question.
Yes.
That's not my question.
No, I
They
don't
would have
think.
continued to go down.
No, I don't think they would have gone down in the same way had Donald Trump not added the $500 fee and dehumanized a bunch of
thank you.
migrants. Yeah.
So what's the argument here then?
That these aren't good. These aren't good policy. This is
No,
the,
no, no,
the
that
been
wasn't
argument the entire time.
The argument
Policy.
from scratch was that it wasn't Trump's policies that did this. It was a continuing trend from Biden.
It was a continuing trend, and then it spiked
just
down. You saw
admitted
it.
Yes, and you just admitted it wouldn't have spiked down if Trump didn't do these things.
Not in the
Thank you.
same way, not as fast. Sure.
Oh, okay.
Not as
But,
fast.
yeah,
Okay.
The Democrats would have turned around and they would have been hard on the border, and they would have gotten
In the same way that they
encounters down to
apparently did in
10,000 a month.
24.
Yeah,
In the same way that they apparently
24.
did in 24, because a giant spike happened then too. So
how
the
is-
Democrats were just
yeah,
super
and
harsh
how
for
is-
1 month, I guess.
How is 100,000 encounters a month being harsh on the border? Are you
Wait.
kidding?
Because
I
it
just wanted
came
to-
down
wait.
from 200,000, right? We're talking about spikes and
300,000.
trends.
300,000.
No. 100,000 in a month is being harsh on the
Why do you
border,
think?
being
Why
strong
do
on
you
the
think that?
border?
Why do you think that dip
No,
happened in
answer the
24?
question.
I've been asking this question for the whole time.
100,000 encounters a month is being
Why do you think that
strong
dip
on the
happened in
border.
24?
Yes, actually. Wait,
Okay.
actually, 100,000 could
That's
be harder.
3,000 a day.
Wait, give me a sec. 100,000 could be being hard on the border, right? You could have very high expulsions where a lot of people are coming across the border, and you have the necessary border agents there to expel those people. And a lot of people are also seeking asylum, and you have the necessary border agents there to process those people for those claims or parole them in. That would be
Yeah, you could, but that's not what happened.
That'd be
Yeah.
okay. So what's your evidence that didn't happen?
We have 5
What,
minutes
the evidence
left
that it
on
didn't
the open
happen
dialogue,
was that
guys.
let's see here, the table I had earlier.
Because we can look at encounters. They were super high up until May 2023.
Yep, and 600,000 of them were asylum seekers abusing the asylum system because less than 10% of them got approved, abusing the asylum seeking process in order to stay in America.
So
not
just to be
necessarily-
clear, 6,000 asylum seekers does justify shutting down all asylum, right? So you don't care about the fraudulent claims because you want to shut down all of
no.
asylum on
It's
their
not even-
grounds,
that's-
You
right?
said 6,000. Where are
Sorry,
you getting
just
this
give me a
6,000
sec.
number from?
600,000.
If I'm correct, this is just going off of Trace. 65, at least up to 2022, 65% of the people who were at the border who seek asylum affirmatively were getting their asylum granted.
In 2022, yeah, because what were the numbers? How many people sought asylum in 2022? Or you said 22? Yeah.
Some numbers I have up to.
I have 173,000 from track reports.
For affirmative?
Total encounters for asylum seekers.
we're
at legal
talking
port-
about-
Oh, that's legal ports of entry. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, we need the overall affirmative number, and we couldn't include defensive because that would fuck the data up because we're only looking at people coming across the border.
Wait. You can't include defensive? That's my
Def-
whole point.
Defensive would include.
That's my whole point.
Well, defensive would include people who are in removal because defensive is people who are in removal proceedings, correct?
Yeah, exactly. When they get into the country illegally, because they're incentivized to do so, because when they get caught, they can just say asylum.
Those are old. They can be old immigrants being deported, though, right? That's
Yeah, and if they're
those
old
aren't necessarily
immigrants
all
being
new
deported,
arrivals.
yeah, and if they're old immigrants being deported, why are they claiming asylum?
Because they can do that.
Yes, because they know how to game the system.
It's
Yeah,
not gaming the
that's-
system. That's built into the system.
it
That is
is.
the system.
Do we like
This
sorry,
system
I guess
is just
do we
claiming
have-
asylum
do
when you
do
have
we
no.
Sorry, do we have data that like people who were seeking defensive asylum under the Biden administration were like new arrivals for the most part?
I never made any claims. I was just responding to Rinyald.
But that's necessarily what your claim implies, right? That's a presupposition because you're saying these
No, I'm
people-
saying there's an incentive.
But you're saying, well, yes, you're saying that incentive caused certain people to
Damn,
take
bro,
actions.
Rinyald, you can't call your boy out mid-debate. Save it for after the debate. Sorry, ask me again.
You're making a presupposition here, which is that people.
Hold
are,
on, Rinyald said that's not a presupposition. You got to check your boy.
Yeah, but
Well,
it's
no,
all right.
it,
It's all right.
it really, real it is. 'Cause
Scratch go. I don't care.
Okay, fine. Necessarily, what you're doing here is you're saying that
2
people,
minutes.
yeah, people who come into the country are coming in, right? They're avoiding like seeking asylum initially and affirmatively. They're evading law enforcement. The law enforcement
I didn't
catches
say
them and
that
then they
part.
seek asylum.
Those could happen, but I'm just saying even if you seek it affirmatively, you're still incentivized to come back and do it illegally. And now you no longer are, which you agree with. We just disagree on exactly why. You're saying
But we
well, it's
disagree on whether
bad
or not it's
because-
good.
Yeah, well, you're saying it's because of the incent for the fees, the provision, the $500 fee. You said it was $500.
$500. Yep.
That's in effect right now.
Yep. Through the big beautiful bill.
So you're saying that this is the reason why they're not incentivized any longer. But
It's one of the reasons. Yeah.
that would still be an admission that they were incentivized earlier. Are you saying that?
Not necessarily. If you're adding a disincentive, that doesn't mean that there was an incentive.
Well, the disincentive is aligned with a massive drop in border encounters.
Yeah, that's what disincentives do. But that doesn't mean there was an incentive beforehand.
So if you disincentivize somebody and before they were doing it, that kind of means the opposite, that they were incentivized to do it.
Well, in the same way that, like,
They
if you're
lost the
standing
incentive.
somewhere, you're not incentivized to stand there. But if you're standing
Yes, you are.
somewhere and then there's a person that's standing
Whoa, whoa,
there
whoa.
that wants to shoot you, right? That's a disincentive. But you were
Yeah.
never incentivized to stand
Well,
there.
hold on. Yes, you were. I love this. This is very philosophical. You were incentivized to stand there because of safety. You were safe to stand there, therefore it was an incentive to stand there.
Well, if you want to
Now,
use
this is a
incentive in that
subconscious
way,
incentive. This
if
is
you
a subconscious incentive.
okay, so it's not an incentive from the government. That's a subconscious incentive, right? That would exist
They're
regardless.
Still incentivized to do it. It's like
Yeah,
if
because
I know
necessarily they're incentivized to do it because they're doing it.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right,
If I-
guys, do you think that we'll hit a consensus on that point there, or should we go ahead and move on to Q&A?
I don't see a
do we get
consensus.
closings?
I mean, I'm okay if you guys want to do like 5 minutes apiece or something.
I would just
Yep.
even like just 2 minutes.
Yep.
All right, 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Who do you want to go first? I don't care who.
Well,
I
you
just-
guys opened it up, so I believe it's gonna be them to close it out. Or is the
Whatever you guys
first
wanna do.
person who opens also closes?
It doesn't matter to me.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
different for
Doesn't matter
everybody.
to me.
All right,
I'm
well,
good. That's what it done now.
whoever starts talking first, I guess.
All right, I'll go.
Yep.
I do enjoy the conversation. This
You
is
guys made
one of
my job pretty easy. I'll just want to butt in and say that real quick. So for first moderated debate, I appreciate everyone bearing through any technical difficulties before you give your opening. Go ahead.
Well, to be fair, we couldn't see you half the time because your face was blending in with the
Yeah,
green
half
screen.
gone.
Just
Yeah.
kidding.
Oh well, yeah, on y'all's end, but on outside.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay,
two
cool,
separate
cool.
cameras.
Gotcha. Okay, sorry. But yeah, basically, I was trying to run through my main 5 points. I honestly did not think that there would be such contention around these first 2 points. It seems crazy to me to think that one point we didn't even get into how these people are being self-deported, but if we did, I would think that my opponents would even agree with me that the self-deportations are really good. I mean, no matter where you're coming from, these people are going voluntarily because they don't want to deal with these issues, and they're going back home, and they're even being paid to do so. And I would like to see the stats on how many of those people were asylum seekers. I do think that it's tough to have this conversation at this point in Trump's second term. And I think it would be an amazing debate to come back and maybe even do it 3 more times as the terms progress. I think that would be fun. But the overall point, I think it's insane to think that less border encounters is bad for America, and more to think that more deportations, 2 million illegals deported, would be bad for them. The next 3 points were in my opening as well, but I do think there was a public and political mandate just by the bills that were passed and by the 5 million vote, as well as some research that shows at least a majority, and in some cases an overwhelming majority, support for Trump's policies and his execution on these policies. The other two here,
Give you like
Americans
20
getting their, yep, right here, last two, I'll be quick, sorry. Public safety increasing. It's for a fact that there are less illegal immigrants with serious criminal backgrounds. Whether or not you think it's a high percentage of deportations or a low percentage, it's still a fact. A big number are gone. That makes America safer. And Americans getting their jobs back. Whether or not you want to quibble over the 100% number, 744,000 positions went to native-born workers, first time in over a decade. Foreign-born employment was down 543%, 543,000. So I think those are all good things for America. I think Trump's doing a great job, and thank you guys so much for being here and debating this.
Awesome, thanks. Vic, before we turn it over to the other side, do you have anything you want to say, add? He got 2.5 minutes, so you're welcome to the same.
Yeah. Thank you very much to Rinyald and Scratch for debating us here today, and also thank you to Modern Day Debates for hosting it, and also thank you to Wi-Fi Gospel. I hope his back doesn't hurt too much from carrying the team, but I think he, mostly him, did a great job today of establishing that what Trump is doing is good on immigration and for the country. And also thank you to Big Bro Scratch for showing that nice flat line in that graph that proves that Donald Trump's policies and his rhetoric is indeed working in keeping America safer. And that is all.
All righty. Well, Rinyald and Scratch, let you guys pick who you want to go first there. Resetting the clock, 2.5 minutes. We're a little over. Go for it.
Where do you think, Scratch? You want to go?
Yeah, I can go. We never really hit on the economic points, but if we want to, that's fine. So, number one, we can just look at any of the research I said earlier, National Bureau of Economic Research. We can look at studies from Penn State. Cato's also done extensive research into immigrants and if they lower or replace immigrant jobs. Overwhelmingly, no. I already explained previously how immigrants come to the country, they induce the demand in the economy. The supply has to increase to meet that demand, which means that more jobs are actually created by immigrants coming to the country. I'd also like to point out that at least previous to Trump coming into office, that we were near full employment while still having massive amounts of job openings, which meaning that we didn't have enough labor. We consistently have an aging population with over half of the people who aren't in the labor force being 55 being 55 and over. I think it's pretty clear that these people aren't taking their jobs. In fact, that is completely, it's actually economically negative to us to deport these people. And the last point, if you don't know how trends work, you take a data set, right? You're gonna take the mean, you're gonna average it out. You're gonna see how well correlates across the line. If you've ever taken a statistics class, the correlation you're trying to draw is just extremely poor. I'm sorry that you saw two flat lines and decided to cream your pants. That's not really my fault.
Okay.
You done there?
Yep.
That was
All right,
gross.
Rinyald, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, this is a debate on Trump's policies. The policies that I got that were good is that Trump dehumanizes migrants. And that's it. So, yeah, those were really good policies from the Trump supporters to support. It's literally just like correlation doesn't equal causation. I think there was something really illustrative that happened during this where I was asked a question like, okay, let's look at this thing that happened and remove all of the context. Is it good? It's like, well, I imagine that that's probably how a lot of Trump supporters view things, right? But like the context matters. The cost of doing a certain thing matters to whether or not it's a good or bad thing. We didn't really want to look at the cost of doing anything, right? We just wanted to quibble about like a trend happening or not. The really good policy that Trump has to offer on the border so far is dehumanizing rhetoric. And yeah, that's a really good policy for me. I don't know why nobody thought of that before.
I'm not responding to the closing statement. That would be wrong of me.
Yeah,
I just
real
want to say
quick,
that that's not the debate prompt.
What was the debate prompt?
You don't know the debate prompt?
I thought it was Trump's policies good or bad for America?
No.
Or Trump's immigration policy?
No, was Trump's second term successful on immigration? Let me get the
Hold on.
exact
What's
quote.
the name of the stream?
Well, the name of the stream, as James famously does, it's not the prompt for the debate because he wants a better title for the algorithm.
Well, I mean, most of this planning, so to be fair, most of this planning was through Corbin, so that's the prompt that I got. But
To be fair, I also, yeah, this is my first time doing this. Maybe I could have been more clear what the prompt was, but you know, I got as much information as what I have here.
What do you have
Either
there for
way,
the prompt?
basically just immigration and Trump is kind
Oh.
of the bullet points.
To be fair, it was my fault. I was gonna say it in the opening statement, and I should have. I couldn't find the exact wording. Sorry, but either way,
it happens.
it was
Well,
a
I
fair
have
debate.
I have a super chat that anybody could probably respond to because it kind of addresses you all. That'd be pseudonym 8344 for $10. I don't get either position. When you talk borders, it's either Canada or Mexico. You guys made this debate really weird. There are other immigrants, or are both parties using borders when they mean border? Shake my head.
My grandfather and my family, my dad's side, legally immigrated through Canada. I don't know. This is 40 years ago. I don't know if it was just an easier pathway, or for him, I think he had family in Canada and that worked his way down to America. But I think that most of the statistics, I don't even know if we have many statistics on the Canadian border, but we have two forces of border patrol, right? We have American and Canada. I don't even know if there is a Mexican border control. If there is, it's very, very small. And most of the statistics we have come from the southwest border. I don't know if you guys aware of any other statistics that we have.
We do have the Canadian ones. When you go into CBP, you just need to limit it. But you're right. It's almost all the numbers are almost entirely related to Southwest. Barely any people come through the southern borders. Interesting enough, I dug into the statistics a while ago. In 2022, we had 200 Canadians come across the Southwest border illegally.
Oh,
So I don't know what they're doing,
Shit.
but
Maybe we should suspend their entry.
maybe we should. Also kind of ironic how my opponent here was talking about how immigrants are like replacing our jobs, but at the same time his own parents are immigrants. So I'm pretty sure they would be
I said
included in that. So
illegal. I said
maybe
illegal.
we should legal immigrants would also do the exact same thing, right? Legal immigrants are actually
Yeah,
more likely to be in the same labor pool as native born citizens that are more predisposed to actually displacing those jobs over the short term, wouldn't they?
Right, but the legal immigrants, the data is correlated with illegal immigrants being deported, and so you would assume with that correlation does not equal causation, but you can assume that it was those deportations that led to 540,000 non-native born,
Well,
foreign-born
Did-
employment.
a lot of deportations included legal people, right? We can look at cases like AUP versus Marco Rubio, where the Trump administration has been blatantly going after people who are on visas and then trying to remove them for the country. So,
Not a lot
deportation,
of cases.
huh? Absolutely, in a lot of
But I mean,
cases. So AUP,
cases
What's the
nonetheless, right?
percentage?
the Harvard case
Yeah, but
involved
not
like hundreds of
correlated to the data.
the Harvard cases include literally had like hundreds of people represented by those organizations. So absolutely, that would include
And
legal
those
people.
hundreds of people in the face of hundreds of thousands is not a lot. Actually, millions when you consider self-deportation.
Can you
Okay.
okay.
I'm gonna stop it there so I can hit the next one. At Wi-Fi for $5, Basil Problem says, "Did you read?" And you're gonna get a couple from him. Did you read the New York Times article about CCOT that was published on 11/8/2025, which documents torture of deportees?
I haven't personally read that, no, but and I do there probably is torture that happens there. There's torture that happens at our prisons too.
Way more there though, and we paid $6 million to send them there in
way
particular.
more?
Yes, way more.
You ever hear of a guy named Larry Lawton?
No, does he?
Yes, on YouTube, on TikTok, the TikToker.
Yeah, he's actually really cool. There's a lot of guys like Larry Lawton, and they document the vast amounts of stuff that correctional officers do to inmates that goes completely uncovered.
Sure. I mean, like, if we were to look, do you genuinely think that there's more mistreatment in U.S. prisons than El Salvadorian?
Maybe not by percentage, but number-wise, probably. Considering we have the most incarcerated people in the world.
Yeah, so we would
Okay.
look at percentage, not then, right?
No?
Okay.
All right.
If-
Well,
Okay,
Go
I
ahead.
guess.
Do you want to say one more thing?
If we're looking at two differently sized populations, we should probably
You
look
said-
at
Oh, by
we should probably look
percentage.
at percentage rates
You said, is
instead of
there
total amounts.
more? Yeah, but the wording you used, you said, is there more
Oh.
torture in El Salvadorian prisons or
Yeah,
American?
Yeah, we're
as a
obviously
when I
talking
said
about
more, referring to
percentage, yeah.
percentage, not
Oh, so
referring to
I'm-
total number.
I wasn't.
Oof,
I feel like everybody would be.
yeah,
Okay.
you know.
All
Okay.
right. Pseudonym 8344 also said for $5. I feel like I'm watching Scarface. The world is yours. At Wi-Fi, are you scared immigrants can be more successful than you, or should they get gone before?
Many immigrants are usually more successful. I think it's generally speaking, I mean, I don't know the percentages, but when you come from a harder place, especially a place that may not have as many economic opportunities as America, you're much more grateful and willing to sacrifice for those economic opportunities when you're here.
Yeah,
Usually.
hard times create good men. Good men and create soft times. Soft men make me hard.
All
True.
right. Okay, this next super chat was for me from Basil Problem. Mike, host, just checking in. Have you surrendered to God anymore in the last 30 minutes? Yes, I have. Thank you for that. At Vic for $5 from Basil Problem as well. In case you don't know, SOS in Morse code is ... long pause,
How much money does this dude have?
He also
Holy
said
shit.
you could right before that to blink if you're being held hostage, Vic. So that was another $5 he sent to say that. One more from him. I'm just gonna get him out of the way real quick, so we can get to one that starts a little bit more of a conversation. Pan also works as a distress message. Just say it, man. We'll save you.
Yes,
Oh.
come save me now, please.
Under
I'm being
duress,
held
it
hostage,
sounds like.
actually,
Yeah,
yes.
man.
I'm locked
well,
in Rinyald shed, please.
This one is from pseudonym again, $5. Scratch and Rinyald, are you guys so leftist that given the charts y'all gave, you can't contribute to actually have a conversation? What's the argument? What is it?
I'm too leftist to contribute to a conversation. That is correct.
Sure.
Like, I don't even know what to. I mean, my argument is that Donald Trump's policies aren't good. I don't like his policies. Now, if there was miscommunication on the prompt, that is what it is. But that's what I came here to argue. I was ready to go into the policies. I don't like what he's done. That's what I was here to argue.
No, I think
It seems, yeah, it just seemed like don't get me wrong, I see that our approach are basically saying the concept of asylum incentivizes people to misuse the system sometime. Therefore, we should get rid of asylum. I guess every system incentivizes some misuse. I don't think we should not go by our literally contractually like legal international legal obligations under 1951 UN Convention. Okay, under the under 8 UC 1158 under the INA. And under 1980 Refugee Act, I think that we should keep asylum, and I think we should help people.
Let me ask you a question. If Snap, for example, had a 90% disapproval rate, if that's how you say it, do you think we should look into why so many people are applying for something that has so little approval rate?
A 90%
Absolutely.
what?
And you're right, it could go either way, right? There could be arguments on both sides, but one of those sides could be that people think they could wrongly get this status.
Sure, but the problem isn't
Or-
looking into it, right? Like we don't have a problem with looking into it. That's what the asylum courts do, is look into it. That's not
Okay, well,
what we have a problem
change-
with.
Something needs to change then. If there's a 90% disapproval rate.
Donald Trump doesn't even want to change it. He just signed an illegal executive order to suspend it and then got shot down, and then it is what it is. So then he just added a $500 application fee. I mean, that I just
So
don't.
is
That's
that a
like
change?
sure, but it's not a good change, right? Like that's antithetical to why we provide asylum.
Right, but even so, there could be arguments for legality, and honestly, I didn't look into the legality claims that you just posted. What I will do that, but
And
the argument that it's still not a bad thing to not want a bunch of people coming into the country, even seeking asylum, when we have a problem with the people that are already here.
on that note, I am gonna read another super chat from Basil Problem to Vic again. Vic, are you a presuppositionalist? If not, how do you justify your worldview?
Wait, what? Am I a presuppositionalist? How do I
Yeah,
justify my worldview?
And
What-
if you're not, how do you justify your worldview?
All right,
Quite
so
off
listen.
topic, Basil.
I mean, yeah, I mean, you could take it or leave it. I mean, this is just super chat.
Yeah, yeah, I think I'll leave it.
Fair enough. Pseudonym 8344 also said both asylums don't actually exist anymore, related to something that you guys were saying.
Affirmative,
Wrong?
defensive, maybe.
Affirmative and defensive asylum still
Sure.
exist.
Yeah.
It's not true.
Yeah, it
but
said
okay.
asylums don't. Oh, okay, he spelled actually wrong. That's what messed me up. Asylums don't actually exist anymore.
Oh,
Well,
they
oh
try to
wait,
say
are you
not-
talking about like insane asylums? Is that
I think I feel like that question is more saying like that people have like valid asylum claims that exist anymore.
Yeah, well,
not true.
Maybe.
I mean, yeah, you can interpret that how you
We
will.
don't have. I was gonna say, we don't have the exact numbers of how many people have successfully claimed asylum in 2025. I think I found 1 month of statistics, and it was like 1,700. So we could just assume that it's about, close to 20,000.
Okay. Well, this one is a conversation starter here. Aiden Shavase says 500K deported and 1.5 million self-deporting is a working policy. Sorry your lock-on votes and cheap labor is done.
So actually, that's not a policy. A policy is not a result. A policy is a policy. Like it's something that's a change in the way you do something, right? Like if you want to point to the policy, like we have policy that we could talk about. We could talk about Remain in Mexico. We could talk about the suspension of asylum. We could talk about removing CBP1. Like we could talk about policy, but saying like, oh, people were deported, so that's like policy. It's just not, right? Like it's just not what policy even is.
I don't know where are we getting the 500K number exactly? Because if I'll just like look at ICE removal data here. Last time I looked at it was like 17,000.
Whoa, that's extremely low. So on brand
I'll
new
just
or
check that one more
October,
time.
so I have it's from DHS with the White House, 527,000. Let me see my notes here.
So
Hey, you
That's
guys, I need to
nice.
get some more super chat
Okay, so I'm looking,
questions.
so, okay,
You guys need
so-
to send more questions. I don't care if it's still Basil doing
Sorry.
it, but give good questions.
Sorry,
These
wasn't
guys,
17
these
I want
guys
Basil to
are
do it.
eager.
I want him to show me how much money he has.
Just empty the bag, dude. Just into modern day debates, super chats right now. Get it off your chest.
Yeah, it wasn't.
DHS, I'll put it
It
in the
wasn't
side chat.
71,000. It was 17,000. 71,000 removals in 2024.
This is
Sorry,
October
2025. Sorry,
Oh,
2025.
okay.
Sorry.
October 27th of 25. DHS removes more than 500,000 illegal aliens from U.S. The first sentence is more than 2 million illegal aliens have left the U.S., including 1.6 million who have voluntarily self-deported, and more than 527,000 deportations.
That 500,000.
So I don't think all of them are ICE, because look, this is DHS, ICE, and CPB. No.
ICE is under DHS.
Okay. Well, I was just reading it. That was.
I don't like. I
I'm not
understand
sure if all
the
of these are
the
just
Trump. By the way,
ICE.
just okay. The Trump administration lies about data a lot, so I'll just bring this up here. So you can just highlight. You can just highlight this, and it shows the number for removal. So 71,000 from ICE.
I was just on this website. Hold on. Can you send that link? ICE.gov.
Yeah, no problem.
Is
Chat.
the super chat might be relevant to what you guys are already talking about. Manga fan Dan for $2 says, "Is the Super Mario Brothers legal immigrants?"
No, I don't think they're in America, but
Superman definitely is an illegal immigrant.
true.
For time of people.
Maybe he's an illegal immigrant to like the Mushroom Kingdom or something. I don't know.
Some people might even call him an illegal alien.
Top of the line
You
social
guys,
commentary here. By the
You
way,
guys done with the screen sharing? You gotta let me know when you're doing that.
Yes. No screen sharing.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, I was just going off of the White House. The DHS. This isn't even the White House. This is DHS.
The DHS like press releases?
DHS.gov/news.
Is it like a preliminary release or just a press release?
Press release.
Yeah, I think the Trump. I'm sorry to say, as the Trump administration lies about numbers a lot. Just look at that like official release statistics, and those will actually be the numbers.
Sounds a little conspiratorial, my friend.
It's not conspiratorial. Just looking at the officially published numbers on the actual statistics website versus just a press release, and they don't match up.
So Aiden Chavase, who had the last point that you said wasn't policy, just super chatted again for $5, said, actually, the result of the policy aren't the policy. Way to miss the point with the autistic pedantry and pretend that's smart.
well, I'm rejecting that it's like the only reason that I'm seeing like the only manifestation of anything that I'm seeing from the Trump administration is A, he was dehumanizing, and B, put the $500 fee on asylum. I don't think those are good, but the reason that you're just pointing to results and not actual policy is because when we actually have to engage on what a policy is and what it does, we actually have to engage with what the policy in totality does instead of just one mark that you like, right? So like if I were to pass a policy saying that, you know, I want to kick like every kindergartner out of school, right? It would free up a lot of people's times, right? And it would result in less property taxes going to schools. But I can't point to that as a win, right? Because it's also going to absolutely tank our nation's education, right? That's why I don't say like, oh yeah, Trump, you know, he cut property taxes. Oh, he's such a good president. Like, that's not what I want, right? Like, I don't necessarily want that at any cost. I don't want lower encounter numbers at any cost.
It's like pointing to it's like pointing to North Korea, saying they have a low crime rate and saying we should become North Korea. Where there's a whole bunch of other things like negative reasons why we shouldn't do that. We shouldn't just point to crime as the one thing to say, yes, let's go become North Korea.
But it seems like you guys, or at least Scratch, was doing that with GDP. It seems like having an increase in GDP at all costs was fine when Scratch was talking about it.
Oh,
I don't think he believes that at all costs.
Actually, yes. Actually, brought two statistics. I said wage increases and GDP.
I couldn't
but
hear
obviously not at all costs. We should like just increase GDP. If we were seeing like significant like crime increases or it's like other negative economic effects, obviously we want to just let people in.
Criminal activity is okay as long as it increases GDP.
She's making mess.
Depends on the criminal activity.
Illegal and legal immigrants commit less crime than the population. Of course, minus the
crossing the border.
Minus I was about to say finish my statement. Minus the fact that they crossed the border illegally.
Right. So is that a criminal activity?
Is jaywalking criminal activity?
Yeah, I guess
Hold
both
on.
are.
Speeding? I mean,
Is-
like,
all right,
speeding is
so-
probably going to result
Yeah.
in net
So,
GDP.
okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, speeding isn't. Well, it could be criminal. It'd be excessive speeding.
Well,
But,
illegal immigration isn't criminal either. It's civil, right?
Yes, it is.
So
No, it's federally illegal. It's a federal crime.
it's a civil offense. You don't get criminally
It's
punished for
both.
illegal immigration.
No, you don't. They don't do that because it's extremely taxing on the system to have a
Right.
jury and all of that.
So yeah,
But it's still
it's
illegal
expensive
just
to
because
enforce
it's
some
not
laws to that
enforced.
extent.
It's still illegal and it's still a criminal activity.
So is
Therefore, the
jaywalking.
argument-
So is
But-
going over the speed
okay.
limit.
Yeah.
So is criminal activity okay as long as it increases GDP?
Sometimes it depends on the criminal activity. Just like
All right.
jaywalking can be okay sometimes if it makes you a more productive worker. I'm not gonna come out and
Okay.
say that every jaywalker needs to be caught by ICE.
Also, I just want
All
to
right,
sorry,
I'm
I also sorry, just
Go
one
ahead.
last point here, right?
Yep.
Immigrants as a whole, like their population commits less crime, both legal and illegal. So when immigrants move into the US, they actually overall decrease our total crime rate. Isn't that pretty cool? Isn't that cool how statistics works?
I would want to dive into those statistics.
That's a good prompt for another time. We'll come up with that. Basil says once again for $5 at Vic, you should do more of these. You're a natural.
Well, I thank you. I try.
And then he sent another 5 right after. He's doing what I asked him to, empty the bag. He dropped another 5 saying hashtag Ryan did nothing wrong. I guess there's a little bit of controversy in the comments here that I'm replacing Ryan. That's not the case as far as I know.
I didn't hear anything. Mike is a valuable new asset to modern day debate. Welcome, Mike.
It's just
True.
like if
Welcome,
you
Mike.
duplicated, you know.
We've all made history tonight, by the way. When
Yeah.
especially when modern day debates at like 10 million subscribers, and Mike's like the #1 moderator after that. We'll be like, yeah, remember we did the first debate with Mike.
True.
Remember how he accidentally streamed about 30 minutes before? Told his life story.
Maybe next time we'll get the top of his head too.
Yeah, next
True.
time. Next time. Oh well, you can see it in the replay video actually.
Oh, that's good.
You in the Zoom chat cannot see me. All right. Well, I think we are hitting the wall. Oh, there is a question here that was kind of directed at everybody. I think they wanted me to read, but I don't know if they had any money. Maybe I shouldn't read it then. Okay. Oh, okay. Mike, the host.
No
I guess
handouts.
they want me to bring this to everyone's attention, though. So I'm gonna do one solid. Everyone gets one phone in from me. I'm gonna write his name down though, because he won't get another one. All right. If we make all 193 countries to work on 7 trillion economy, anything less or more will put them in gray zones, worldwide solutions. So you guys are welcome for that one, because I think that
Not
might have
sure I
just
understand.
solved.
Yeah.
That might have solved
Yeah.
everything.
There may have been some transitional words in there that
I read it
needed.
exactly true to form.
Yeah, I don't know. Immigration,
another one
border
here.
enforcement.
Aiden.
I don't know. Just say
Aiden's
words.
back with another 5. I
Wow.
think this is probably dedicated to you guys here on the left. He said, by dehumidifiers, Nixon immigrants, do you mean enforcing border detainment and enforce RCIMG deportation?
So I assume instead of dehumidifier, they meant dehumanizing, right? And when I said
Yes, okay.
dehumanizing, I meant
The
like sending
YouTube
people to
super
CCOT.
chats is a little delay. It's a little glitchy when you're typing it. I've noticed.
Yeah,
You
what
don't really watch it.
When I was referencing dehumanizing immigrants, I wasn't talking about just like doing expedited removals like Obama did, right? Like that's not dehumanizing people. That's just following the process, right? When I'm talking about dehumanizing people is when we're like putting people on planes and frog walking them through foreign prisons that we paid $6 million to send people to, that we do tortured their inmates, right? Like that kind of thing. Or like when we're like posting AI pictures of like feeding illegal immigrants to crocodiles, right? Like that's the kind of thing where I'm like, that's dehumanizing. It's not just enforcement.
Well,
Yeah, I'd say-
who's being sent to CCOT though? What kind of people?
200 people. They didn't have any ability to challenge who they were, so it was just whoever the government alleged being a alien enemy.
Some people like
Well-
some people like, and I was pointing out earlier, Andy Harmendez, the gay makeup artist from Venezuela, who had fled here because the government's persecuting him for being gay, for being gay and going after him. He had 2 tattoos on each of his arms, which had crowns, and they had the name of his mom and his dad under them. And the government took those to be gang tattoos, even though they were just tattoos with crowns and his mom and dad. They were associated with literally no gains. And he was one of the people who had this due process right stripped from him, right? He was seeking asylum and flown on a plane and sent to a torture prison.
Okay.
And how
real
should we
quick,
hold on?
real quick, I have to address something. Basil, I'm not skipping any of your super chats. I know Ryan would never skip them, but I'm not skipping them. And Ryan's not chained up behind me, behind this green screen. So just people quit posting free Ryan in the comments. It's
He's
getting
not.
annoying.
He's not behind the screen. He's in your shed.
Yeah, he's outside. You guys wouldn't even be able to hear him. But he did autocorrect. Sent another $2. Aiden said it was dehumanizing. You were correct on that one. And then Corbin said for $2, sorry for missing this one, boys. Good show.
My goat.
Corbin.
So that
What
was
the
the
last-
gentleman who was supposed to be in the debate.
Yeah, I guess he had an emergency come up.
Yeah.
Well, I hope whatever's going on is going better, Corbin. What was the last thing you said, Scratch? I was going to reply to it, but I forgot.
I was talking about the Andy Hermetis guy who got his due process right stripped
yeah.
and sent to torture prison. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not intimately familiar with the case, and in that case, it could be an awful misuse of it. But how else would we determine if someone is in a gang?
What you would do is you would give them the ability to file literally any contest to their deportation, right? So the way that it worked, previous invocations of the Alien Enemies Act, the way it worked is you were put before a hearing board by the Attorney General. They would determine that they are who you said, or that you are who you're alleged to be, and that meant that they were subject to the Alien Enemies Act. In this case, we were rounding people up before the proclamation of the Alien Enemies Act had even become public, and we shipped them out during a hearing on the TRO as to whether or not they were allowed to do it or not.
Right, but how are we supposed to determine if somebody is in a gang?
You get them out, you provide them reasonable notice to their deportability, you allow them the ability to challenge. That's it. If they don't challenge it, then they go.
So even within the challenging, how do you determine if someone is in a gang or not?
In this case, it would be through habeas petitions. I mean, you would file in front of a court.
This
Right,
is maybe
right.
relevant.
You're telling
real
me
quick,
hold on, I do want to
ahead.
finish this fight.
Yeah, I'll let you get that
You're
idea
telling
out.
me the process. You're saying you go through a process. I'm asking what process?
You file for
how
habeas
do you do
corpus.
it within? Yeah, so when you file for that, how does somebody then determine that you're in a gang?
So what you would be contesting is the fact that you're an alien enemy. So in this case, it would be that you're from Venezuela and you're a member of Tren de Aragua. That's
Right.
what would be litigated in the
Yes,
filing
and how?
by a judge.
And so you can't determine if somebody is in a gang based on tattoos.
It could be admissible evidence, but to act like I mean, there's a reason why they weren't giving these people notice and the ability to file, right?
The reason I brought up Andy
Because they were assumed gang members.
the specific tattoos that they alleged were gang tattoos, one, weren't a part of any gang that existed in Venezuela, and they were literally just tattoos representing his mom and his dad. That's why
Okay,
that one was
so-
so heinous. And he
Yeah,
and
so
he
there
seemingly
was-
had a really strong asylum claim at the same time.
Yeah, so they made a mistake. They were wrong about tattoos.
Well, not only
Okay,
that,
but
they
it's
were
still
robbing people of their ability to challenge the determination, right? So it's like you have a tattoo, you're a gang member, you're out of here. You can't even raise an objection to that, right? That's insane.
That's literally how we classify gang members all throughout America.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that you can punish them based off of that classification alone.
Actually, yes, it does. In fact, if you have a felony and you're considered a gang member, you can't be within, I think it's 30.
Yeah,
or
if you have
50
a
feet
felony.
within another
These
gang
people
member.
that have felonies.
If you have a
this person even
felony-
have a criminal
No, listen,
background.
Listen, they were. If I'm saying solely based on gang affiliation, they have added punishments.
But having
but
tattoos that are
it's
wait. First of all, the tattoos
already
are
proven through the
look,
felony.
here,
Wait,
Here, no, I'll give
you're
it to you.
switching. No, you're switching
no.
the narrative.
If someone
no,
is
the
a
tattoos,
felon,
the tattoos he had weren't affiliated with any gang. They were just
yeah, they made a mistake.
Correct.
You can't
They thought they were.
summarily
Okay.
punish somebody for having tattoos.
Yes, you
But
can.
at the same
If-
time,
No,
not
you
only,
can't.
Wait. Okay, wait. He doesn't understand, right? They
You
made
can
a mistake.
classify
They
them
made
as
it.
a gang
they,
member.
They made it. Wait. They made a mistake, right? And on top of that, this wouldn't have happened if they had given him his due process rights and an ability to file some kind of habeas petition to contest deportation.
Which, by the
again,
way, the Supreme Court
and I
already agreed that
granted
the
this
Trump administration was
case.
acting illegally here, right? So
Right, and I've already granted this case. I'm just saying you're acting as if him having these tattoos does not allow people to classify him as part of a gang.
it doesn't allow you to
That's how
punish
they
them.
do it.
It doesn't allow
Yes,
you to
it does,
punish
because
them.
if you're a
No,
part
it
of a
doesn't.
gang and you're here and you're not a citizen, your presence is a threat to America and they can deport you.
You're
Okay.
just you say
you're genuinely
if
saying-
you're part of a gang, but this person, like, to all of our
Wasn't.
knowledge, wasn't part of a gang
Before
and
it
didn't have the
turns into
tattoos that were even
another
affiliated with the
debate
gang. So, like, I don't
about
know why you keep bringing that up.
gang identification. Before it gets to that point, I got to read this super chat by Aaron Padilla for $4.99. He says, "What about the Nick Fuentes argument about demographic change hurting America? Import third world, get third world culture. Econ equal reverse, race equal not?" Question mark.
Yeah, I'm not super familiar with Fuentes.
I feel like we need to work on our grammar skills a little bit. I don't even know what that
Yeah,
half
they're
part,
trying
what
to.
the second half
The
of that
problem
was.
is they're not sending enough money, so they're trying to get cheap with the letters.
Yeah, I mean, the argument of demographic replacement, you again, you just have to prove like that the cost of actually doing anything about it outweighs the cost of not doing anything about it, right? So like, if your answer is like, okay, demographic shift, that means we need to have a white ethno state, I'm gonna be like, well, fuck no. Like, that, I don't want that. That's not something that's good for the country, right? So it depends on what you want to do, and if there's anything that you can do to actually be better than the counterfactual of doing nothing, right?
Yeah, I'm not arguing for a white ethno state either.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
All right, let me see if they got any more here. Oh wow, I didn't know you could comment that in YouTube. Basil Problem said, "Did Vic say fewer words than?" Is that your account with the 3 X's? Or
3 X's.
M
People call me triple X.
XXXD?
No.
MXXD? I don't know.
No, that's Max.
Oh, okay.
That's another moderator. Or no, a chat mod.
That's how new I am. I don't even know the mods. But I do appreciate everybody. Scratch says Scratch was right when he said presupposes. That's Scratch 9250. Yeah, I don't know if that was you.
Thank you,
That's
Scratch.
you.
Must be a coincidence. Must be a different Scratch 9258.
That's a completely different Scratch, actually.
Scratches unite, I guess.
I actually I don't even remember what the contention was on the presupposition. I just thought it was funny that Rinyald couldn't help himself.
I didn't think you would hear it.
It was
I'm
a
sorry.
correct presupposition. I'm sorry, Rinyald. It just was.
Basil,
There's a premise that I was trying to point out, and the piece of day.
Listen, it could have been all right. It could have been right.
Okay.
Basil, I didn't see your comment about why I got suspended from work. I didn't see it. It's not on there.
Because he was moderating debates on at work.
Based.
I was literally trying to do that if you wanted to know. So that's what happened. Okay. Scratch, I read that one. There was one more from Aiden. Let me double check that I did that one. That was Aaron. Yeah, I did that one. Okay. Well, we're almost hitting 10 o'clock here, so it's been a couple hours. You guys focus on anything in the last 20 minutes that was kind of like important to get another word out about?
I mean, we could litigate the tattoos more if we want to, but
I think he wanted to, and that's why I had to kind of stop it just in case there was going to be another super chat. I didn't want to go on too long.
I mean, in any case, I mean, if you're being punished because you have tattoos, you're always going to be afforded the ability to challenge that designation of a gang member based off of your tattoos in any case. Now, whether or not, if you've already gone through the process in which you would challenge it and it came back with nothing, well, then you're going to go forward with that, you know, like classification by the government, right? But like, it can't simply be the case. So this is just like a foundational thing, even outside of like immigration. It can't be the case that the president or that, you know, the government sees a tattoo and then deports you because of it without giving you the ability to challenge. Like, hey, I'm not Venezuelan. I'm not a gang member. I'm not even here illegally. Like those kind of challenges you need to be able to have.
It's not actually true. Because if your presence, like, let's even make it harder, like, if it's for a T organization, right?
Mhm.
And the tattoo is If they consider you to be part of this T organization, I
Mhm.
believe it's the Secretary of State, and it's in the INA.
Mhm.
I'd be able to get a exact one, but it's the one that like they're
For
trying to
the
use
visa
with Mahmoud
revocations.
Khalil.
Mhm.
Foreign
Yeah.
Adverse to the foreign policy interest in the United States.
Which-
That's 237.
We
Yeah,
got
which-
we got a super chat here from Pable73. He sends in 750 Uruguayan pesos. Thank you. That's probably a lot there. I bet there are many people in the chat who think Earth is 6,000 years old. You are funny.
True.
Yeah, we could just go right into another debate if you want. If you got...
Just go right into it.
There's another
Yeah.
one here from Aaron. For $2, he says, "So demographics don't matter. That's important."
I'm not particularly interested in
Well, I think
demographics, but
I do think there is something important about the demographics. See, we have a very pure Anglo-Saxon race here, and personally, I'd like to keep it. We can't have any of these other migrant. Okay, okay.
yeah, I just see no reason to be that concerned.
Yeah.
Now, do you think it's always bad? I haven't really developed my
What?
position here, but like, you know what they say about what is it? The UK. The UK is I don't even know if it is majority white anymore, or if it's on the road to not being majority white. Do you think that's bad in any sense?
That
No, I think
that
we
a
should
country's no
all- I
longer
think-
majority
I
white.
think we should all become beautiful olive-skinned people, so we can't divide ourselves on race anymore, and we don't have to deal with any of this bullshit demographics.
Yeah, I mean, like, if it's the case that there's like actual observable problems that come from, you know, changing demographics, then I'll accord to those like real problems. It seems like any problems are like pretty minor, that it's not worth any amount of compromising freedom or compromising, you know, laws to adjust it. I just need like a really, really compelling argument that it's something to care about. I can see a world where I would care about it. It's just not this one right now.
Thank you for that response. Go ahead, Dave.
Just real quick for Scratch, you said like, oh, you wish that we could all become just all skin people, so we don't have to worry about this racing
bet.
anymore.
It's pretty cool.
All right. So in other words, all one skin color is what you're trying to say.
Yes. All right. Wouldn't that be cool? Wouldn't that be base?
Okay.
Ultimate we need a race mix max. Okay.
Yeah, after this debate, me and Scratch are going to start.
Okay.
That is
Cosmic.
impossible.
How do you know?
Cosmic
Wait, how do
sends
you know?
in, wait, are you, I don't want to know what you guys are.
You're good. You're good. You're good.
Cosmic says, or he sends in 2,500 Nigerian Naira. That is $1.74. Thank you. Saying immigrants commit less crimes sounds like allowing a patient get infected by malaria because the COVID he already has kills more.
I don't think it does sound like that.
I don't. Yeah, not at all.
I don't see the analogy.
Yeah, I'm just pointing to like I guess statistics like the PNAS study that was done a while ago, back in like 2018. That's said that like legal immigrants commit less crime, and legal immigrants. I guess if we want to look at the Cato study, instead of like looked into like incarceration rates, same thing. Legal immigrants incarcerated less than legal and native citizens, and then they have also done their own crime analysis. So yeah, I think ultimately they commit less crime, and if they come into our population, that means the total crime rate is going to go down since they commit less crime. Cool.
Are you for deporting people who commit crimes who are here illegally?
Well, it depends on the crime.
So you're.
And also depends on how long they've been here. If you've been here like 5 years plus, then and you've I don't know speed in traffic or I don't it's like steal a candy bar from a gas station once, then no.
About a DUI.
Yeah, probably that's fine.
Okay. Corey 77777 says for $5, should Trump's policies that enforce our laws against illegal entry into our country be ignored? By the way, all jails dehumanize criminals. That's the point.
So that's not the point. But like, no, I'm not coming out against the idea of deporting people. Like I even previously said, if you were listening, I even saw a little head nod. All right, I got a little bit of approval when I said that, like Obama doing the expedited removals. I don't necessarily have a problem with that. If you're just turning people away at the border, or like getting rid of people who are in border cities, I don't necessarily have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with deportation. I care about illegal deportations, and I care about like giant, wide scoping intrusions into cities with no like discernible benefit to be reaped from it. Right, like I don't see why we need to have ICE as like the most well-funded executive agency period right now, or law enforcement agency period right now. I don't see any need for that. But like deportations in general, that's not what I'm coming out against.
Yeah, well, do you agree on that point there with the comment that all jails dehumanize criminals?
No.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know if we're gonna call like the jails in like Norway and Sweden to be dehumanizing them when they have amenities that are similar to just like apartments and stuff to
Well,
try
do you
and like
think that
rehabilitate these people.
do you think enslaving somebody is dehumanizing?
Yes, necessarily.
Yeah.
Okay. So then all prisons enslave people, therefore all prisons are dehumanizing.
No,
I don't know if I would
so.
agree with the characterization of enslaving them, but I mean, even in this case, by the way,
Could
it's
you define
unrelated
that
to
then?
the. Well, even in this case, it's unrelated to the initial thing, right? Because I wasn't saying that the problem is that CCOT is dehumanizing people. I said the problem is CCOT is torturing people, and the way that we're deterring immigration is by dehumanizing migrants, right? I'm not saying the problem with the prison is dehumanization, right? Because I acknowledge that there probably are a lot of U.S. prisons that do dehumanize their prisoners. I don't think it's a necessary thing, but even that wasn't my contention. My contention was the torturing, right?
True.
Do you think that enslaving somebody is inherently torture?
Probably not,
Why not?
because I don't think it's necessarily torturous.
Does slavery inflict pain on somebody necessarily?
Necessarily, I mean, like physical pain, no. Psychological
Just
pain,
pain.
maybe. It depends
Well,
on how
if
you're
it's-
defining pain.
Well, yeah, I mean, you would if I psychologically, like if I feed you with a bunch of psychedelics and play a bunch of crazy stuff, I could torture you
Sure, yeah.
mentally, right?
Yeah.
So I would say that you would have to be consistent, you would have to say slavery is inherently torturous.
I mean,
I just
listen,
disagree with
I'm not a philosophy guy. Okay, my guess is that like just intuitively when I say torturing, I feel like we all know what I'm referring to, right? We're talking about like using physical like unnecessary physical pressure to achieve no end, right? Like it's almost like cruelty for the sake of cruelty. I don't see the need to be torturing people in CCOT. It's not like they're even extracting information, right? They're just zapping wet floors or like beating people if they don't get dressed quick enough, right? Like so the kind of, even if I was to grant that it's like a form of torture, the kind of torture we see in CCOT and the kind of torture we see in the U.S. prison system is not comparable.
Yeah. Like, how would you define enslave? Like, some being enslaved?
Well, it's tough to get like a strict definition because pretty much every definition that you give, you can find a case in which you would call someone not a slave who meets that definition. But generally speaking, someone where you limit their freedom of movement, their freedom of choice, and you economically benefit off the situation.
Okay. Like like I don't know if I'd
That's
call like
all
yeah, I don't know
persons.
if I call I guess in Norway you're kind of doing that, but like they have
You
like way
meet
more
every
freedom.
criteria.
You have way more freedom compared. I guess everybody to some extent has their like freedom of like movement limited and freedom
Well,
of choice limited.
like in the sense that you can't leave.
Sure. I mean, what we get down to though is that like
Like, is a child enslaved to their parent? Like,
I wouldn't say enslaved. I would say owned.
I guess like the definition, like I don't really think that we're hitting at like anything useful here, because even if our
No, we're not.
definition of torture is technically different and you want to say that every prison system is necessarily torture, well then the burden kind of moves off of torture and it goes on to like unnecessary cruelness or like unnecessary physical punishment.
Yeah, I don't think CCOT is as bad as we want to make it out to be.
I would recommend reading the State Department reports. It's pretty bad.
Yeah,
in the testimony, in the
the
UN
same
reports.
stuff happens in America.
I disagree.
All
All right, then don't send people to prison.
Well, someone asked here in the comments, I'm not going to read the name just because they didn't send any money, but are you guys open to prison experiments on people who are going to be like locked up indefinitely? As like that's what they're trying to get at, I guess, is like,
It's an
can we use
experiment.
them as test subjects for the
I mean, maybe for like
animals?
in
I
place
don't
of
know what
animals,
they're getting at
absolutely not.
exactly. They're going back
Um,
and forth between how it's relevant to slavery and torture. Like, if they're already enslaved, I guess, in the prison system, is doing the experiments, torturing, or is it helping humanity? Kind of that's what I think is kind of being discussed
I
there.
I would say like in certain cases, like for PDF files, I think we should experiment by all the PDF files that are locked up. If we castrate them, do we see PDF crimes go down?
well, I mean, they're in prison, so you couldn't really measure their crime rate, but
No,
like
it's an incentive.
sure, but I mean, like if you're talking about its effect on crime rate, I don't think you could do that if it's
Yeah.
if it's you're testing on prisoners.
No. Here's what I'm saying. I think you're misunderstanding me. If you were to say unalive all of the PDF files instead of locking them up,
Mhm.
that would deter people at a higher rate, whether or not you think that's moral.
Yes.
Have we
That's what I'm
seen that?
saying.
Like, I guess, like
Well,
I
no,
point back to
like
I would
necessarily it would.
necessarily really I would like point
Yeah.
back to Victorian England where they were just like mass like executing people for like even the pettiest of crimes, and the crime rate was still horrid and
Right, but
consistently
I mean,
on the
like,
rise.
like doing that for like unavoidable crimes is different than doing it for avoidable crimes, right? So, like, if you're doing it for PDF files, that's different than doing it to prevent like shoplifting, right? Like, I would grant that like almost as necessarily true. Like, if you're removing the amount of those people, I don't know what I can say on YouTube anymore. Listen, if you're removing the
Yeah,
amount of
it's all
those
right, we're all
people,
TikTok guys, so.
right? If you're removing the amount of those people, then necessarily there's going to be less instances of that kind of thing happening, right?
And I think, to your point, Scratch, it would probably have the opposite effect if just every crime was punished to the max, because then it's like, who cares?
Mhm.
I'm gonna get punished either way, no matter what I do.
I'm trying to get James to send me a couple of the ones that were at the very beginning that I might have missed before I had it open on my phone here. But Aaron Padilla just said 199 for 199. Cesar Chavez was against immigration. Thoughts? I actually drive on Cesar Chavez Road every day.
I don't know why I
I'm
should
happy for him. Okay, all right, good for him.
Any thoughts on the other side there?
Well, I don't think anybody on here is against immigration, point blank.
I think
Yeah,
the
I'm
point
not-
of maybe
I'm not
bringing that
against
up
legal.
is I don't know, was Cesar Chavez an immigrant or of immigrant descent?
I've got
Is
no
that what they're
idea,
claiming?
man.
Is that what they're trying to make a point of? Like, is that
He's honestly, I don't know who Cesar Chavez is. I was assuming it was a bad person, but apparently
Me as
he's
well.
a civil
maybe
rights
politician, political
activist.
guy?
civil rights act? Yeah. Well, a lot
My
of-
guess is that he's trying to like
An American
MLK
labor
said
leader.
this. Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. I don't want to appeal
Yeah.
to civil rights leaders for all my politics. It's just
Abraham Lincoln has some pretty cringe opinions too. So
true.
Well, I think that what's being said is he was probably fighting against the idea of immigration for better labor in America, like a better labor market in America.
Do you think it was probably like a socialist thing?
sure.
Socialism
Actually,
is cringe.
I wonder if you were actually if you were like a policymaker back during like the late 1800s, early 1900s, when you saw like massive waves of immigrants that were, or this is the only time it was matching the current waves immigrants we're seeing. Would you take steps to limit the immigration coming to the country?
Say that again. Sorry.
If you were a policymaker back during the late 1800s and like early 1900s,
Basil,
when you saw
repost
massive amounts of
repost your
immigrants
question.
coming in, like as a proportion to like the waves that are coming in today, would you take steps to limit immigration coming to the
Did
country?
was it illegal or was it all legal?
That's a very blurry line.
Well, I'd say under the current laws, if it was legal, and we didn't have a massive illegal problem, I would probably say that it's okay.
Okay, but you seemingly were making arguments earlier about like, oh, we can't let this many people to the country, otherwise it's going to be bad, correct?
Yeah, if you let the reason I used 100 million is because I thought it was a fair number to say that's too much. Apparently, I had to go to 1 billion to get that. But if you let, like, I mean, I think it's just common sense. Like, you could even make the hypothetical crazy and say 1 billion people in a day. Obviously, it's not impossible logically, but it would never happen, right? So, like, obviously, nobody's going to say that's a good thing for America.
But do you think, like, because I report to, like, we don't have any good, like, illegal immigration statistics. We're just pointing to counters, which doesn't even apply. People
Well, yeah,
stayed here, like, illegally. Um, like, are you saying that Biden let in too many people legally and illegally?
I would definitely say that he allowed too many too much asylum abuse, and he didn't do anything to stop it.
But those people would still be classified as, a lot of them, legal immigrants.
Yeah,
Also,
but
by
that's
the way,
obviously based on statistics now, it's not going to happen under Trump's term.
it's also super not true that he did nothing to stop it, right? Like we saw the bill in Congress, we saw the executive order that ended up getting shot down to try and restrict asylum to ports of entry. That was the whole point of CBP1. Like it's not true that he did nothing to stop it.
Well, I mean, we could get into the bill, but you don't think that was a legitimate bill, do you?
I think that it was an attempt to, give the president statutory authority to put a memorandum on immigration. And that's the
Maybe
whole
we could
point.
do a debate about that.
Yeah,
That's
going
a
back
long
to my
topic.
so to
Yeah.
my previous point, it seems so you were against Biden letting in certain people legally. It seems that it's not just
Yeah.
your distinction just isn't illegal legal. There seems to be something more. There's something more specific about, like,
Do you think
asylum
it's
seekers.
okay? I mean, if we take Rinyald for his word here, even Biden thought that was a bad thing.
I think that Biden was just being rhetorical. for the most part.
Yeah, by the way, I don't support Biden in that either. But
I
just
don't
to be
actually
clear.
think I think the Democrats did a really bad job at messaging their immigration policy, and the Republicans consistently lied and took over that narrative. And then they, instead of actually coming strong out and like what they did during the administration, they just cucked out to Republican stance.
Yeah, I think that
Probably
there's
true.
truth to that because they wanted to pass other things and they thought if we could get this immigration stuff passed, then we can get our cake and eat it too.
Yeah, that bill
Basil,
was
give me
full of fat.
give me a couple minutes. James is getting me the first couple chats I missed. But sorry, go ahead, Vic.
I mean, the
was
FAT
just gonna-
passed separately, right? Like the aid to Ukraine, the aid to Israel, that passed separately from the bill. So
Sure, but the border bill wasn't just about, oh yeah, let's solve this border crisis. It was like 80% fat and 20% what of it was actually going to go to what it promised to do.
yeah, but if you're saying that it didn't pass because of the fat, and then when separated, the fat passed, right? It probably wasn't the fat that tanked it.
Yeah, but still, this narrative that, oh yeah, never mind. But still, yeah, it was it was full of fat. It wasn't not passed because of this narrative that, oh yeah, we need something to run on or for Trump to run on to win the election.
I should have
What
this
in
here
the
in
bill?
just
Oh,
a
go ahead.
second.
What in the
Uh,
bill dealt with asylum?
If I think it was at a certain amount of encounters, I think it was 5,000 a day, it would have shut down the border. So, at a moratorium on all of it, you wouldn't be allowed to seek asylum. You wouldn't be allowed to. It would basically restrict physical entry.
But wouldn't it have also moved asylum cases from judges to asylum officers?
Yeah.
So wouldn't that make it easier for asylum cases to be approved?
Or just
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Or
like it would be
disapproved.
more easily rejected as well.
Yeah, depending on who's directing them, right?
Sure, but I
I-
assume
I
that
would
like
just-
if
I
it's
would
more
just-
if it's more
I would
likely
just-
that legitimate
sorry.
claims get approved, like do you have like do you have a, if we could guarantee that 100% of asylum seekers had a legitimate claim to asylum, would you let them in?
Yeah, but obviously that's not the case considering the
Sure, yeah, but in
high
this
rate of
case,
disapproval.
sure, but in this case, you're saying,
Hypothetically,
oh, well,
sure.
they're also going to be letting more people in, while you're also like, it's because they're like, just because they're hearing claims quicker. But if they're letting more people in, it's only insofar as they pass their asylum process, right?
Yeah, but having no judges and just these asylum officers who can hand wave them in could create a scenario in which, say, it reversed and 90% of the approvals came in, and this was a way to legal to a visa and a green card by just coming across illegally, defensively claiming asylum, and then getting expedited through the process.
I think you would have to demonstrate that it would result in like a less stringent process. I mean, my guess is that they would probably be rejecting more because, like, I assume it's more paperwork in order to approve an asylum thing, right? Like, you would be incentivized to not have as many. That'd be my guess.
Come across illegal doesn't necessarily mean you're making a defensive asylum claim. If you come across illegally and immediately seek asylum for a border agent before you get put in removal proceedings, that would just be an affirmative claim.
Okay, I finally got those
so
super chats real quick. Unless you guys want to go on, I'll give you another couple minutes.
well, I was just saying that you're saying if you immediately, like as soon as you get apprehended, claim asylum, that's not a defensive asylum case?
Yeah, because defensive is you're already in litigation to be removed.
Yeah, that would be.
I guess we would
affirmative.
Do you have statistics on how many affirmative versus defensive?
I said up till 2022 from Trace. I know 65% were granted at the border, at least.
65 of what? Asylum in totality?
Affirmative.
Oh,
All
So
right.
then it would still be the same problem.
I don't
It's
think
less
it
of a
would be.
problem, though,
I
if
mean, like, you wouldn't be in the
it
country for as
seemingly-
long.
See, like if defensive is the lion's share of defensive asylum cases, right? But if affirmative is like mainly the people at the border, and the people at the border have like a way higher rate of getting accepted, then obviously like our policies are probably more focused on people who are already here in removal proceedings and like what their standard is to seek asylum. I think that the good policy actually would probably just be to up the standards for the initial credible fear test for people seeking asylum defensively. That would probably solve the problem for the most part.
Sure.
All right, Basil problem. This is a catch up. Three different super chats that you sent in the beginning when I was not looking at them because I was on the phone with James. Cut me a break. So at first one at Mike Host, during the pre-show, you mentioned you were surrendering to God. How far along in percentage are you? Well, that I would say that was part of the viral debate con marketing I was trying to do. So I hope you fell for it, but maybe you want to say like 80%. And then another one here during the pre-show, you mentioned you were suspended from work and why? Too based. So at Wi-Fi, here's this one actually relevant to the debaters. When RFK, I think is who he meant to say. He said RJK Jr. Declares obese people terrorist. Would you prefer El Salvador or Sudan for your destination?
Probably El Salvador. I feel like that might be a little bit better. But yeah, I mean maybe that would get my fat ass into shape. I don't know.
I know that their national currency is Bitcoin.
I was gonna congratulate Basil for not commenting on my weight for once during a debate, but you don't get the congratulations anymore.
I'll speak too soon.
Yeah.
Well, I think he owes us more money now to weigh in on that.
True.
No pun intended.
Look like
Yeah, I was
Rob
gonna say,
North
weigh
better
in.
hair.
Okay, I'm gonna meet Rob this
Alright.
weekend. I'll let him
Put
know
the
at least
neutral.
one person thinks I look like.
Just better hair, huh?
Yeah.
It's true. Yeah, he does have a very nice head of hair.
Thanks.
Rob always wears a hat.
My dad still has all of his hair, so hopefully that trend continues.
Okay, we got all of those ones done, and I think he emailed me one. Nope, that was the only email. Okay, I thought he was emailing twice. All right, guys. I don't know how late you guys are trying to go, but I mean, I'm sure within the next 5 minutes you'll get a couple more if you want to touch on anything that you've already touched on there.
Probably got about 15 more minutes ish.
That's fair. Okay.
I got.
There was a
I
lot in
got-
the opening statement that we didn't get to touch on.
That's true.
We can go back to a lot of stuff.
You want to pick one thing until we have a suitable super chat here from someone who has their shit together and has something good to add to the conversation?
I have something. Do you think, obviously it would be hard to say there isn't a political mandate for what Trump is doing, at least in the sense of dealing with illegal immigration. Would you at least concede to that?
Sure. Yeah, it seems like
Yeah.
immigration is a real problem. A lot of people want to fix it. I would just I
They just
think
don't know
I
the
touched
actual
it.
problem is.
Yeah, I touched this in my opening. I feel like when like most normal people, this is why I'm super hesitant to point out like mandates in general, is that when people think about politics, it's on a very, very, very surface level, right? Like, so when they think about like, oh, fixing the border, that's all they think about, right? Like they don't think about how, they don't think about what's even wrong. They think like, oh yeah, fix the border. Yeah, I want to fix the border. I've heard the border's bad and I want to fix it, right? And that's pretty much all they think about, right? So like whether or not specific policy is popular or not is a different question. I haven't looked at polling, but it seems like the vibe that I've been getting is that generally a lot of like the harsher enforcement stuff is not super popular, especially in like the areas directly affected. But
What standard like are you using for super popular?
I mean, it's kind of vibes based. I mean, but I would have to look at the like polling and then make the determination there.
Because what percentage wise would you say is like a high percentage when it comes to polls like that?
Probably like, I don't know, like high 40s to onward.
Yeah, because those can seem low in most contexts, but when we're talking politics and considering we're so uh, divided on so many things, I would agree that is high. And I even the polls I was seeing, at least, most of them are. I didn't see any below 40% on Trump's execution on his immigration. Now I did see like GOP is super high, like that's like extraordinarily high.
Yeah.
But that's kind of to be expected, especially since he campaigned on it so heavily, right?
I mean, a big part is like also that this is a big problem with polling in general is that like they ask super misleading questions and I don't know why, right? Like, so like, like it wouldn't shock me if like 40% responded favorably to, do we want to deport illegal immigrants, right? Like I wouldn't be shocked if 40% said yes to that, right? Or like, do we support ICE? You know, like I wouldn't be surprised if 40% said yes to that because it's so broad as to what it even means. Like, are you talking about specific deportation efforts? Are you talking about like, what are we talking about when we say I support ICE existing, right? Does that put me in the 40%?
Okay, I got something to create a little container here for a second. So the debate prompt was kind of more geared towards Trump's immigration policies here in his second term, right? So how in that process of him prioritizing national security and making, all Americans kind of think about this daily, how do you balance like the border security with, humanitarian perspectives that people like Rinyald and Scratch have, that it's like, this is negative in this regard, but we do absolutely need the border security. So how do we balance that? Like what is the medium?
I guess the question is like increased border security something that's gonna like protect the country, right? Like, or is that actually something? I guess I point to previous administrations. I'd say like we saw like the increased border security under like Clinton Bush. We saw the fact that illegal immigrants were some amounts of illegal immigrants are still like coming to the country. We consistently see things like we consistently still see like T attacks happening. We saw like under Trump's first administration, so still saw people like, and nobody mentions it, like Miley Tibbetts, and people are always complaining about Lake and Riley gets murdered. So I just don't know like how effective is this at actually doing anything. And then on top of that, we have all these other super negative effects of violating people's rights and economic detriments that we see.
I think they're unavoidable to an extent. I think that's an excuse to let it happen in mass. But when you talk about dealing with any problem, like even going back to prisons, there's a bunch of people literally get tortured in prison, not at the direct of the government, but it just happens. People, we see people get abused by police officers. Hopefully less and less the more body cams are present, but we see abuses of solutions all the time. It's just human nature. Again, it's not an excuse to just let people do whatever they want. I think there was a point to, I think it was Rinyald when he said like you could just remove all kindergartners from somewhere, some sort of result that seems good. Well, if nobody's here is going to say, well, what if we just unalive all of the immigrants in America? Then the problem solved, right? It's like, no, obviously nobody wants that. But I do think there is a balance, and it's very hard to achieve. But I don't think there's like insane humanitarian crisis happening because you know.
Would you just say that the humanitarian crisis that people on the left would be concerned about is more of like a propaganda thing from the left, or would you think that there is, some things that the right is promoting that is just being, interpreted that way?
I think it's definitely blown way out of proportion. Is it wrong to point out certain cases like where Scratch said, I forget the guy's name, the gay guy from Venezuela?
Andy
Lesser, yeah.
Hernandez.
How do you say his first name?
Andy Hernandez.
Andy.
Hernandez.
Yeah.
Um, sorry, you talk fast, Scratch. But I don't think it's wrong to point those things out, and I don't think it's good that those things happen. Again, I'm not instantly familiar with the case, but just going off what Scratch said, I don't think it's wrong to point those things out. I think that it would be wise to limit those situations as much as possible, but to take a handful of cases and throw them out the front and say Trump is a Nazi because of these things, no, that's going too far.
I think there's some important delineations there. So like I think you kind of hit at this in the beginning, right? Like there are bad things that happen, right? But you have to, it's always like measuring consequences, right? So like obviously there's bad things that happen by extension of us imprisoning people who commit crimes. But then if you look at the counterfactual of not imprisoning anybody who commits crime, well, then the country's like unlivable, right? And that's kind of what we saw in El Salvador, ironically. So like that's a problem, obviously. I just don't see the giant net negative that we're seeing from illegal immigrants to the point where we have to do like harsh crackdowns like this at the expense of economic growth, at the expense of, the national debt for funding ICE so much, at the expense of certain people's due process rights. And then the second part is that like the government direction is the part that's really bad, like, right? Like with Trump actually really, really benefits from living in a system like this, right? Because you can do like all of these crazy ideas and satisfy the further right option, right? And then get blocked by the courts and then actually not even do anything all that bad because it got blocked by the courts. So you can still say that you tried to do the really crazy thing and then like all of these activist judges, LOL, stopped me from doing it, but you get to reap the benefits of it not happening as well, right? So you get to reap the benefits of doing the policy and then reap none of the negatives from doing the policy because it got blocked. And I think that's part of the problem here is that like we can look at like these giant humanitarian problems that present themselves from the robbing of due process of the alien enemies class, of Remain in Mexico, right? But before any of these manifested into giant problems, they were blocked by the courts. So you could only see so much harm because, they were either enjoined or they were there was a temporary restraining order and they're still being litigated or something or other, right? Like there's a reason why we haven't even heard about the birthright citizenship executive order since January, because it got enjoined and nobody's even being affected by it until it gets ruled on by the Supreme Court.
Isn't that the check and balances we want? Isn't how the system's supposed to work?
Yes, it is. And I'm very grateful that it does function that way. But I'm saying that like it's really hard to point out like or to say that like the humanitarian consequences are being over exaggerated when we're not seeing the over exaggerations, not because Trump doesn't want to do extreme things, but because the way our system is designed prevents him from actually being able to do the things that he actually wants to do.
And to be fair, I'll go ahead, Vic.
I was going to say, but you're okay. What was I was going to say, yeah, you're saying we're not seeing these extreme exaggerations. However, you're already claiming like, oh my gosh, there's so much horrific things going on. So which is it? Are we not seeing these extremities, or is really terrible things going on and their humanity is being stripped away?
So there's two things, right? It's a degree problem, right? So I think we got 20% of the way there because part of the policy of Trump was acting so quickly before the courts could actually stop him. But once the courts stopped him, they stopped him, right? So like the reason that we didn't get 100% of the way there is because the court stopped them at 20, but we still saw the 20 and it was really bad, right? Or in some cases we saw 0, but like the idea that the Trump administration wanted to do it is almost bad enough in and of itself, right? So like we saw bad humanitarian outcomes because Donald Trump was trying to move so quickly, but he didn't actually get to do everything he wanted to do because the court stopped him.
I mean, I think you're assuming that it would have turned into something extremely large to a large degree.
Yeah, sure. But I mean, like, I feel like I'm within rights to do that, right? Like, Like, it was obviously the case that Donald Trump was planning more people to be deported under the Alien Enemies Act because more people were detained under the Alien Enemies Act than got deported, right? So we could reasonably assume that more people would have been sent to CCOT, or because he had like a multi-year long agreement with El Salvador to house people in CCOT, we could probably make a reasonable guess that he would have sent more people there. Or like the suspension of asylum, we can guess the results of what that would look like, even though it didn't result because the Trump administration or because the courts blocked him.
But
Okay.
if the courts didn't block him, right?
Mhm.
Or for example, like with Mahmoud Khalil, which is still undergoing,
Mhm.
it'll probably go all the way up to the Supreme Court.
Mhm.
If the Supreme Court rules in the Trump administration's favor and deports Khalil, we will assume that two things will happen. One, immigrants on visas and green cards will definitely not speak up as loud, right?
Mhm.
And secondly, if they do, they will be deported on certain issues.
Yeah.
Do you think that creates a humanitarian crisis?
I don't know if I would describe that as humanitarian per se. I think it creates like a almost like, I don't know if I'd say constitutional crisis because that carries a lot of baggage, right? But like, it's definitely an attack on our First Amendment, right? Like, we should be able to speak. In the case of Mahmoud Khalil, it gets a little more complicated because there was like handing out of flyers and whether or not he did it or not. But like, a comparable case is Romesa Ozturk, right, who went through the same processes as Mahmoud Khalil, but the only thing that they used to substantiate the revocation of her visa was an op-ed asking her university's president to divest from Israel, and that was all that was attached to her report of intelligence, right? So in that case, and they're using the same argument to justify that as they are Khalil. If that gets approved by the Supreme Court, then fuck, I think our First Amendment is like more or less broken, right? Because clearly we're not upholding the principle of free expression, even if it's not providing material support, even if it's not providing support that's contrary to the conditions that you signed up for on your visa.
But if an expression of your free speech determines a negative outcome for foreign policy relations, that's like the INA 237, what it allows. I mean, well, the free speech part is what is being determined in court right now. But if it is determined that, based on what they say, it could be deemed like there was a 1999 case where I can get the exact name, but it's a Mexican attorney general who fled from Mexico into the U.S., right?
Mhm.
And he fled there, and he didn't say anything, but they were aware of his presence. I'm pretty sure he entered legally, and they revoked his visa once they found out he was here, or once they found out the circumstances around why he was here, because his very presence created a foreign policy relation issue.
What year did
with
you say?
Mexico. I believe 1999. Let me double check here.
I'd have to see if there were like ongoing conflicts at the time with Mexico. That would really change the way that I look at it. But generally, I would say you probably shouldn't do that either. I would probably say that that's not good.
All right, guys, I got a really good super chat to maybe end this on if there's none other after this conversation. But Pable73 sends another 750 Uruguayan pesos, or approximately $18.43. That he said Native Americans should have had similar border policies back in those days. Dot dot dot. He. So I mean, I don't
True.
know. What do you guys think about that?
Probably true.
They would have lacked the enforcement, but I get the point, and I think that's a good point.
However, I mean, like, we can point to the direct harm that was faced by the Native Americans, right? I mean,
what do you mean?
I guess that opens it up.
I think there's a lot more like articulatable harm to the Native Americans than there is to the Americans right now for letting asylum seekers through.
I would definitely agree with that, especially because of what was done. However, I don't think that do you think there's any harm at all to America if millions of illegal immigrants were to come across the border year after year?
Sure. Yeah, there can be.
Maybe.
It's just not worth enforcement.
That was just like it depends, right? Like circular migration patterns can be a good thing. That was something that existed like up until the ending of the Sarah programs in the 1960s, where millions of migrants would like come across the border each year to do agricultural work in the United States and then move back into Mexico for the winter.
I mean,
think that was a
obviously
pretty good thing.
there's
Like, I don't
obviously
think
going
that
to
was bad.
be there's obviously going to be give and take to everything, right? Like nothing's going to be like, I don't think there's any policy that's wholly good that comes with no consequences, right? It's just a matter of whether or not A, the benefits outweigh the consequences, and B, whether or not like the response that you would have to those consequences would prevent more or would present more problems than it would solutions.
And I think the circular migration argument could hold if there wasn't actually enough Americans to fill the jobs or to do what is needed to be done. But what we're seeing is there are enough Americans to do these jobs. How do we know? Well, the statistics of that we went over earlier, where 744,000 or something native-born Americans were new hires, and that was at the deficit of 540,000 foreign-born.
So
So
we're just
there,
I guess we're just assuming that they're moving into those foreign-born workers' jobs, right? And that this isn't just like general job growth in the economy.
True.
yeah, we would assume that. It would be a very easy assumption to make, considering like what happened
Okay,
to those
so
540,000 jobs.
well, that's literally what I'm saying. That you are making that assumption. You
Yeah,
need like proof. You need further
it's a
data to
fair
prove,
assumption.
huh? I don't think it is a
Not
fair
fair
assumption.
assumption.
It's
necessarily.
not necessarily. Yeah, it could just be
I
due
mean,
to economic
if you
growth.
want to quibble about 100%, that's fine. But how did 100% of the people that got those jobs were native born, and why didn't that happen for over a decade?
Well, because we've been in a period of job growth that already happens, right?
Yeah,
Like,
but before it wasn't 100% native born people getting these jobs. Why was that?
are you saying it's 100% of native born people who got what jobs, like over the span of what period?
I believe the 9 months that Trump's been in office.
There's not one. There's not one
Yeah, I
foreign
don't
born
believe
person who
that.
got a job.
Yeah,
I just
For
can't
new
believe that.
hires, no.
That's just
I don't
unbelievable to
believe
me.
that.
I don't buy that.
That's the I think what you're probably looking at is like
It's
this amount of native born workers got jobs versus this amount of immigrants lost jobs. It doesn't mean necessarily mean there weren't like foreign born workers. It just means like
Who
as a
got
percentage
jobs? Yeah.
overall, it dropped.
I mean, it dropped by 500. It's whether or not it's 100%, it hasn't happened this way for over a decade.
Okay.
So why is that?
That could be due to like numerous like economic policies.
Name
I feel
them.
like, huh?
Name the
I don't know.
reasons.
You're the one making the correlation. I'm not
No,
making the
well,
causation from that.
yeah, and you're saying no, it's not that way, and I'm saying okay, well, how could it be another way? And you're saying I don't know.
I feel this could legit just be like I feel this is when people point to like says like, oh my gosh, unemployment's at an all-time low. And it was like, oh, the previous low was like 4.1 like 1% and like ticked lower to like 4%. Like, oh my gosh, this is like unprecedented in a decade. It could just be to like unreasonable or not even unreasonable, but just like increased like GDP or increased job growth in like a certain time period. Like this isn't
Okay, so now are you
unrealistic.
the one making assumptions?
Well,
Huh?
you're asking him what it could possibly be. It could
Yes.
possibly be that, but the burden would be on you to actually prove that the correlation was causation, right?
I just think it's a fairly reasonable assumption, considering it hasn't happened in over a decade, and it's correlated with the fact that 2 million immigrants have left.
Well, I mean, Scratch just gave you a way that it could reasonably be something else, right?
So I don't yeah, like
No, logically,
we could just
logically possible, yes.
I think it's logic.
Reasonably, no.
I don't think what you're saying is reasonable either, right? I think we can just look at the fact like what's the reality? 50 most like over 50% of people are in the labor force are like over 55 years old, right? We have an
So
aging
two,
population. Out of the like the other half of those people, they're either like disabled and then the rest of them just don't want a job, right? You can look at like you can look at the A38. It's not that they haven't like aren't looking for a job, it's that literally they just don't want a job. And that number has stayed pretty consistent since like 2008, like barring other economic factors. And
okay.
right,
I
and
Well,
then we can look at like okay, but if we just look at the total population of everybody in the labor force, and then we look at the amount of jobs open, there's more jobs than there are people in the labor force. So that would just mean that we have a labor shortage.
I just want to say
okay,
real
so
quick. I think I've got to wrap up pretty soon here, so I don't know what.
Yeah,
just
we can go ahead and give some sign offs here.
I just real quick wanted to say real quick last thing. Is so 2 million immigrants leave the country. Is and 543,000 less foreign born people have jobs or get
Five
new
hundred
jobs, right?
thousand or
540,000. Is that correlated?
Yeah, it's correlated.
All right. Is it reasonable to assume that those are probably of the 2 million that left?
Yeah.
Okay. But it wouldn't be reasonable to assume that the 744,000 positions that went to native-born workers was because of that.
Yeah, I think it could reasonably just be increases in jobs as
Okay.
a whole.
M39999. Yeah, I definitely had to clean up before I started doing this. I'm not from Canada. I know people in the comments keep saying, I'm got Ryan in the back, so that means I must be in Canada. I'm from Texas. So I'm in Austin.
He's in Texas because he's one of the 200 Canadians that snuck in through the southwest border.
Yeah, he had to leave after the kidnapping.
Sure.
Actually, in South Texas, where I'm from, they do have a lot of winter Canadians that come here for the winter because it's
Not helping your case.
more of a summer. I've just I'm familiar with them and they're very friendly. So it's kind of like when you see
Good
like a
bet.
nice dog in the street, like you say hi to it. I'm
I
not
bet you,
comparing
eh?
Canadians to dogs,
I
but
was just, you heard it here first.
Damn.
man's best friend, Canadians. All right, guys. Well, let's start from the top left and go over. Give us your channel names, and if there's any super chats, I will say it right after you finish. But I think we're all done here for the night, unless someone wants to throw me a tip that James could Venmo me. So we'll start with Rinyald. Go ahead, give us your channel name, and where we find you.
Yep, I stream on YouTube, Twitch, and TikTok at Rinyald on all platforms. I think on TikTok I have a couple American flags and a couple bald eagles after it, but it should come up if you search Rinyald. And I post the debates on YouTube at Rinyald, and it will show up as Rinyald's Notebook. Typically, they are a little more policy driven, but again, it happens. There was some confusion over the prompt. I am very grateful to both Modern Day Debate and Corbin for setting everything up. Thanks Scratch for filling in on super short notice. It was great talking to you, Wi-Fi. Vic, I didn't get to talk to you much, but maybe if you want to have a future conversation, so I don't just have to think of you as a picture in the corner while I'm talking to Wi-Fi, that would be great. But yeah, I'm just grateful to everybody for having the conversation, and Modern Day Debate for hosting it.
Yeah, I'll be better about dragging Vic in next time. I didn't notice that he wasn't speaking as much.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah, I guess I'll go next. Scratch, right? You can find me almost all platforms, but I'm mostly on YouTube and TikTok. It's at Scratch9258, Scratch9258. I also have a link tree in my bio, at least on YouTube, if you want to find all my own stuff. I have a Discord server if you want to join it. If you want to debate sometime, just hit me up in DMs or join my TikTok panel. We go live whenever I feel like it. So yeah.
Awesome.
Just so you know, you have to search Scratch Debate to find the YouTube channel through the search on YouTube. So you got to get more clout or change the name for the Scratch to come up first.
Just type in Scratch9258. You'll find it every time.
Oh, okay.
Every time.
So there's a guy named Breakfast Tacos, and I'm like, you're not gonna beat the algorithm on Breakfast Tacos. It's just not gonna happen.
Well, I know who he is, but only through other people talking about him.
My old screen name was Donald Trump, but I finally figured out that.
Damn. All right. Okay. So, with me, you could find me at I'm on all platforms, but I'm mostly on YouTube. That's my primary platform. You can find me under Cool Vic, KEWL space V1C. I live stream Mondays through Fridays. I put out new videos every day. I have a Discord as well, and yeah, that's where you guys can find me.
Awesome. Yeah. Okay. Well, I appreciate you guys all being here tonight for my first moderation.
I think we're missing one outro, I think.
What? No,
it's all right.
Wi-Fi's
we already
go.
went over channels, and
I thought he passed it on to Vic. My bad.
All good. Yeah,
go for it.
Not that everybody knows me, but I've been on Modern Day Debate a few times, so you should be more familiar with me. But yeah, at Wi-Fi Gospel on YouTube.
All right. Well,
And,
yeah,
and
we
yeah, it was a pleasure to debate you guys. I think we had a fun time.
Yeah.
And thank you, Vic, for being my partner. Appreciate you, bro.
Yeah, no problem. Like I said, I hope your back doesn't hurt too much from doing all the heavy lifting for us.
awesome.
And
we had a lot
yeah,
of fun.
Hope his back doesn't hurt too much from last night.
Hey,
Whoa, whoa, whoa! Who said it? Wait, I think that pause. Big pause.
Hey,
I think that was
me and
just a
Vic
win.
are married, okay? Just
I think
saying.
that was just a win.
Not
Same.
together, not with each other.
Someone commented the
Just so we're
moderator
clear.
won, in my opinion.
true.
All right. Well, guys, appreciate everybody. Go to DebateCon this coming week, on the 15th, 16th weekend, and get your ass to Nashville. Go meet all the greats, and I'm probably gonna make some last minute plans to get out there myself. So maybe you'll meet me and we get to meet all you
Hell
guys.
yeah.
That'd be cool. Super chats, keep sending them, even if I'm not gonna read them and we're turning it off. Just keep sending James super chats the whole time, forever. I'm gonna get used to saying that, and then we're gonna go ahead and call it. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Peace, guys.
Problem,
Yeah.
guys.